You are now listening to the Old Head, New Head podcast with your hosts, Eric Iberg and Ethan Schaefer.
Goddamn kids.
Shut up, old man!
What? You're in your car again?
Yeah, dude. We're at Mammoth, July 5th.
End of November.
Yep. No, this is probably airing in December at this point. We're up to episode like 13 or 14 with this one.
This is number 14, I just realized.
Crazy. Before we get to who we have today, what you smoking on there, Berg?
Fuck, man, as always, I'm blessed by Ross Jacob over at the great people at Dark Horse Farms here in Minnesota. Not the best light, but he's gonna hook up people up with a discount. We'll figure out something in the whatever description of our shows. And then also big thanks to the people that let me roll my shit from Ross Jacob over at Blazy Susan. Big up Trey Blazy and the whole fam.
Beautiful.
We stoked, man. We super stoked today. I haven't wore this sweatshirt 23 years.
What is that sweatshirt? I haven't recognized that.
This is royalty. This is like my first movie I ever made, and then Belanger was in it, and he had the dopest shit ever, and he was the man. So I like saw this, and I was like, man, that'd be awesome. And then like the last time it was worn is Henrik wore it in the Education of Style and his lifestyle shoots.
So sick.
In Minnesota, so breaking the shit out today.
Yeah. And you're in Minnesota, still at the bachelor pad, no wife, no kids?
No, they're holding Denmark down. I got Excelsior, Minnesota lockdown.
Yep.
You're in Mammoth?
Yeah, I'm by the hot springs at Mammoth. We're on the Starlink for this one. We camped down the desert, watched the fireworks over Crowley Lake last night. Did a little hot springs under the stars. Pretty good vibe.
Ready for this shit that I fucking thought of as I had my Mickeys and my spliff?
Yep. What is this? No way. Who is that in that photo?
This is our house, and like I lived with Phil and then Sarah Burke and Eric Rosenwald, who ran the park at June Mountain in Mammoth and built the pipe.
Yeah.
And then it was just I was like, fuck, I got a photo exactly like what I'm doing 23 years later.
Is that a young you or a young Phil?
Oh, that's Phil with hair. We'll ask him to take his hat off when we compare the pictures today.
Word. And yeah, so who do we have today? Give him a little intro, because you know him better than anyone.
Today, we have one of my best friends in the world. We have a legend, we have an icon, we have a foundation member of Twin Tip Skiing, member of the Three Phils, Les Trois Phils, Phil Belanger, owner of Destructure up in Quebec City, head judge of the first ever Olympics in Sochi, 2000 U.S. Open slopestyle winner, big air second place, just a dominator in every single thing. Created the Step Up Tour in Quebec 6 years ago, which is the largest slopestyle tour in the world. That's a regional event. It goes on and on, man. I'm the biggest fan of what Phil Belanger does in the sport, continues to do to this day. I think his story is beyond special. He's the only athlete I ever knew who was the best in the world and then wanted to reinvest through starting Pléhouse Films, had a film company. So I started a film company and opened a retail ski shop at age 22. When he was the best in the world, one of the highest paid people in the world as doing our sport. So I'm stoked, man. I'm stoked for you to meet him. I'm stoked for you to learn his background. Maybe I can learn something if possible about him because of your questions. So I'm just stoked. I'm gonna let you try to run as much as you can with this because I pretty much know him the best of any human in the world that I know.
Sick. Yeah, you want to toss him the invite, get him in here?
That I will.
Beautiful.
So what do you know about Phil before we start?
Honestly, I didn't know anything substantial about him until you guys did the Giving Flowers episode with him.
So you knew nothing. You didn't know
nothing.
Did you know who the Three Phils were?
I did know the Three Phils, but that's it. Like I just knew that they were an early skiing trio. That was it. And then you guys did Giving Flowers, talked about Free Bob, talked about Playhouse, talked about Destructure. But we're going to go deep on all that stuff.
Awesome, man. I'm going to let you run with it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to sit back, relax after that last fucking new head that we did. Or no, our last old head that we did.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, Joss was the long one, man. 6 hours.
The record. Even took over Ski Boss Tanner Hall.
Crazy.
I just hope he's calling from his office and then his employees have to listen to him talk beside. None of his employees knew before the Giving Flowers what he did in the sport at Destructure.
That's insane.
So he's the most humble person I know as well.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't tell anyone what he's done, what he does. He just does.
Yeah. Yeah, we're running fully off the van right now. Starlink off the van.
You're in like our spot, man. This is our favorite spot in the whole entire world. We lived there together for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Oh, Mammoth and like ours. Yeah. You're like, our we're jealous of you right now. Ma'am.
It's so sick out here, dude. It was packed downtown yesterday. That's why we went to the hot springs. They had every street shut down. Couldn't go to the grocery store for nothing. We had to run away to Crowley Lake just to get some food.
That's crazy. Yeah, I haven't been there for at least a decade, since 2012. So I'm sure it's a little different.
Yeah. Have you seen the village?
Yeah. So originally we lived, you know where Whiskey Creek is? This bar right at the base. It might not be called that. It's the one bar right at the base when you come down the mountain. And then you take a left to go towards McDonald's or whatever and all of this. But we lived right there. So it was like the last bus pickup to go to the mountain, first drop off. And it was kind of right where they built the gondola. And it was at.
Yeah.
Like there was a general store where the village was, so we could just walk out of our spot, go to the general store, go get drunk at the bar. Like everything about Mammoth was so special.
That's so nice. Oh, here we go.
It is. Pull up Belanger.
Yo, nice background, bro.
I got your ski. I got the royalty sweatshirt. Haven't worn it since 2002. Fucking just stoked, buddy.
Look what I got.
Oh yeah. Look what I got. This.
This Cyber Cartel glass.
Wait,
I feel like
Wait,
I checked this out.
wait. What's this?
Ivory.
Me, you were the same. But you don't. Can we see your hair now?
I don't have any more.
Nice. So I'm going to introduce what we're doing, Phil, and then I'm going to let my awesome co-host Ethan take over a little. We created this old head, new head podcast for the idea. Like I got to sit down with Ethan on Two Plank podcast earlier this last winter. And Ethan's 25 years old. He's pretty into the sport. And I really realized like, I don't have a clue what the fuck the kids think. And I was like, all right, man, it could be really fun to like do a show with you and talk to the young kids that are the leaders in the sport, see why the fuck they do what they do, what their goals are, what their ambitions, and just pick their brain on it. So I can use that information, I guess, for myself, and maybe kids can learn how to be successful because of them. The old heads, I was like, man, like you guys, all the people that we're talking to are people that created their own lane in the sport, did something unique, and really left an impression on the sport, or continue to still do it like yourself. So point of this whole podcast and this conversation is just to kind of learn who you are and what you've created from what the sport gave you and opportunities. Because I think a lot of people are missing a lot of opportunities in which they have in our sport. So that's the point, man. Give thanks for talking with us on a work day. Fucking stoked. And I'll let Ethan, because I know most things about you, so I thought it'd be super fun if Ethan gets to pick your brain a little bit on shit.
Perfect. Glad to be with you guys. Should be fun.
Yeah.
Right.
Phil, it's great to meet you, dude. I listened to the Giving Flowers episode that you did with Iberg, so we appreciate you giving your time again to sit down and talk about everything you've done. It's cool stuff. But
and even my co-host here doesn't know who you were before Giving Flowers.
Yeah.
So to me, that's another big important thing I believe in our sport where history is not taught. Some of your employees don't know your background. So I think like in order to know where you're going, you really need to know where you came from. And as a person that's a huge member of the foundation of the sport, it's I don't know, it's good. So I just wanted to say that because I think that's crazy. Another thing of youth when the youth doesn't know who the idols are, like how we grew up. And we're like, oh my God, Jean-Luc Brassard. Oh my God, Glenn Flake. It's not really like that.
Before it was easier to get to know the founder because you had no internet, no anything. So you need to take time to actually try to figure out who they were. Now, like you can just think it's the new up and comer that's invented that sport. So this is a little different for sure.
Wild.
Yeah.
But where are you from, Ethan?
I'm from Connecticut. Yeah, East Coast. I was born in 98 to give you a kind of frame of reference for the timeline I'm working with. So I'm 26 years old.
Yeah. So 98. We started in 99, 97, like by 96 to 98. So you were just born when that whole thing started.
Exactly. But that's what's so sick is that you guys are all still around, which is why I love, sharing the Giving Flowers episode on the Two Planker feed and doing these interviews. It's like we have this crazy opportunity to talk about the birth of a sport, and that's so rare. You don't get to talk to the inventors of tennis, basketball, football. They're all long gone. But 98% of you guys are all still around, so it's good.
Yeah, exactly. 98. That's a good call.
Yeah, lost a couple big names, but it's good to while we have the opportunity to document this all. So, we could start with the beginning because I think like Iberg was saying, your story really is like there was no foundation. You guys created something brand new, and then after your success within the sport, you took all this time to build. And that's what Iberg and I love talking about on the show, people that created stuff out of skiing. So let's start with the beginning. Were you a mogul guy to start everything off?
I was actually a racer. Let's
go back even earlier. Man. I want to that because we always do chronological like birth shit, and I've never done it with Phil. So start at the beginning, Phil. Like, where were you born and raised, and like what's your deal of your location of the world?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Lac-Beauport, Quebec City. So it's a pretty big town for winter sports, like hockey, skiing for sure, ice skating. We got a lot of good people coming out of Quebec into all the winter sports. So, and Lac-Beauport, it's kind of a unique little town, kind of maybe 20 minutes from the city. So it's super close from the city, but there's a lake, there's two hills. Like they're not mountains, they're definitely hills, like not that big, but it's so close to the city that it's part of our environment. It's part of our lifestyle, kind of to be in the mountain and be in a city. So this is quite unique. Like when you travel around the world, normally all the mountains are pretty far away from the city. So this is what we've got here. That's pretty cool and makes it easy for the kids to just go skiing an hour, go back to them work, go back to skiing, go to the school. Like they just can go around like pretty easy. So this is the kind of the uniqueness of Lac-Beauport. So yeah, I'm born here and I start skiing at actually Mont-Saint-Castin. That's the first hill I skied at. Like this is where the Laroche family are from, like the aerialists that kind of created also the aerial sports of freestyle skiing. So,
and this is the original Canadian Air Force. So when we talk about the new Canadian Air Force twin tip, these guys are the original Canadian Air Force in inverted aerials in the 80s.
Okay, that's a good point because I have only ever heard of the new Canadian Air Force, and I never even put it together that it was a reference to an original Canadian Air Force. So who are those guys?
Yeah, so it's Phil. It started with Yves Laroche. So Yves was kind of the oldest brother. Super good aerialist, and then there was like Dominique Laroche, Philippe Laroche. Like Yves had a really big accident when he was on top of his game, kind of like doing paragliding. So he had to stop the competition. Actually, got into a coma. Like he's okay, but he's still really injured. Like so he stopped skiing. But Phil took kind of his place, and Phil went to the Olympic. Like he totally was world champion a couple of times. I don't know if did he won.
Let's not forget Lloyd Langlois.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about the guys from Lac-Beauport. And
okay. I'm just saying the original Air Force was all the inverted aerial guys on the team.
Yeah. So Lloyd Langlois. After that, what's his name? I don't know all their names, but yeah. After that, kind of people from Montreal, from all around Quebec, started that crew that was calling the Canadian Air Force, and they were pretty crazy guy actually, like the real original, like skiing all day, going to the bar all night, skiing all day, the bar all night, like fully on like
aerials without helmets.
Exactly.
Aerials before 1988 Olympics.
Yeah.
So it's a little different vibe, and they were awesomely crazy.
Was aerials? Were you guys doing aerials, or not you guys, but that generation of people doing aerials before it was an officially sanctioned Olympic sport? Like, was this just something that was happening at the mountain?
I don't know how those guys started. Like I know they built jump and they weren't allowed to. Kind of the same thing as us and snowboarder, but it got regulated pretty fast. Like because they need to train into water ramp, like to jump in the water. So they kind of build like a water ramp into a lake, like right next to a hotel we had in Lac Beauport. This is where everything started from them. And I guess right after that, it got into like with the FIS and it got sanctioned and they did all that stuff. And they were also doing a lot of shows like for a long time, like every park, like water park or something had an aerial show in it. And those guys, they were doing that during the summer and also during the winter between contests. So it got really popular super fast and it was really impressive. It was easier to make than it is now. It was kind of a bigger show, like same thing as a bigger show, but it was a real show. So those guys were super famous. Like a lot of people, especially in Europe, like it got super crazy. And
they did like parking lot shows, right? So they'd have scaffolding in-runs at the supermarkets. They had an airbag-like landing that was only the height of maybe 10 feet with a carpet on top. And they'd do like single and double backflips. And so they did this shit. So it was like a constant promotion demo tour for the sport and themselves. So it's just this place, because I'll bring it up a couple more times. Quebec is what I believe the mecca of freestyle. So even in the 80s, when he's talking about these guys jumping into Lake B, where he lives, the United States of America, it was illegal to train inverted aerials. So they had to go to Quebec, where Phil lived, and train the sport that they traveled around the world and competed on snow, because it wasn't legal to flip in the United States of America and there was no training facilities. Yeah. So that's how much of the epicenter he was in old freestyle and new freestyle.
Damn.
I think that's awesome.
No, that is awesome.
Yeah, this is why all of us, like the next generation, got involved so fast, because we saw those guys, we saw where they were able to do, but back then I was way too young. Like I was maybe like 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. And as I said, so now like back then I was a racer skier, but during the summer we were watching them doing the aerial. We were doing some trampoline with them. So we had all that aspect, but for me at that point, it was too more already too gymnastic. Like, I was too straight up and backflip, front flip and all that kind of stuff. And since I was more into racing, like I didn't catch up. Like I didn't wanted to do that. Like at that point, I wanted to keep racing a little bit.
So what are you doing age 14 in 1994? In the winter of 1994, what is Phil Belanger doing?
Yeah, so after that, when I was 14, then I switched to mogul. Yeah, around 14 I switched to mogul.
And I asked because Jean-Luc Broussard wins a gold, Quebecer. Lloyd Langlois and Phil LaRoche get second and third at the Olympics. So you guys have a Quebec fucking gold, silver, bronze. Like you guys were the dopest fucking place in the world in 94.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I switched to mogul. Exactly. So it's like racing was like, there was too much rules. I was good, but never going to be that great because I was super small and like really light. So I was like, and I wanted to, like me and LaRose, like we were in the same racing team, Phil LaRose. So we were like, man, let's go mogul. And actually one of our coach from racing was super nice. And he kind of make the turning point for us. Is like, guys, man, I know you guys want to do that. Like just keep doing one more year of racing because you engage yourself doing it. But I'll bring you to the aerial side 2 or 3 times during the weekend. You guys are going to be able to try and see if you really like it. And once we hit the big jumps on the aerial side, like it was done. Like we're always.
The race coach said that. Your race coach said that. He'd let you try it out. That's fucking dope. I've never heard that story.
Yeah. And actually, because now is the coach of my. He's not the coach, but he's one of the dad of my girls racing club. Like they're still part. So I see him now, and I always remind him like, man, it's a lot of that is because of you. So yeah, so those guys like let us do that, and then we jump into aerials, actually moguls, because aerial back then, once again, you need too much commitment. Like it was too much gymnastic, and for me to just start, like I was too old already, like 14, to just learn how to do like 300 backflip, 700 front flip, to be able to do like all those flips, and it was already too much regulated for me. I was like, I'll just do mogul, and we'll see how it goes. So me and Phil did 3 years of moguls. So I was maybe like 17 after that. And then I was like, man, I don't like, this is too much rules again. Like this is not our fit. And I was doing a lot of rollerblade also during that time of the year when I was 16. When we started rollerblade, yeah, maybe 15, 16, 17. Like I was working into a rollerblade shop during the summer, doing demo tour with them. And during the winter doing aerial. So I was kind of mixing both of those sports.
When did you go to Texas?
Yeah, and when that summer, the summer of secondary four, so I was 16, summer of my 16 years old, I went to SeaWorld, Texas to do a rollerblade show, extreme wheel show.
No
so that was super sick. Like we were with 4 skateboarder, 4 BMXer, and 4 rollerblader, and we're an indoor show like at the SeaWorld with ramps and like fireworks and like 3 shows a day. Like I was getting paid. I think it was, for then it was not much, but $100 a day US. But for me, man, at 14 years old, it's a joke, man. It's like really
100
like,
a day in 95, 90, you're stoked.
yeah, like I don't need that money first. Like I live at my parents' place and I go to school, and I never made money before really. So I was like, man, this is crazy. So I went for like 2 or 3 months with Phil Dion back then. It was me and Phil Rose didn't go. So when I came back from that summer, so we were like 17, and I was like, okay, man, like I don't want to do mogul anymore. We're so good at skiing because of our racing background, because of our mogul background. Like we all of that abilities into ski. So I didn't want to switch to do snowboard, because realistically, what we really wanted to do it's snowboarding. Like those guys were starting to do Terran Park, do rails, do jumps, do everything we were doing in rollerblades, but into a snowboard. So, and some of our friends that didn't follow us into the mogul switched when they were 15 into snowboarding. So they were already getting really good. So I was like, fuck it, man. Let's just try to do everything we do on rollerblade into skiing, and let's see if that works.
And did you have a terrain? So quick questions. There was 2 Phils, because you and Phil LaRose skied moguls and raced together. And then Dion comes in the picture. Did you know him before Texas?
No, we met when we switched to mogul. So we met when we were 15.
Okay, so you met Dion before Texas.
Yeah, like here before that, not even like.
But you're not the 3 Phils yet. There's no LaRose and Dion hanging out having ideas.
No, we're not the 3 Phils at all. Like back then, we were just, it was me and LaRose that went into mogul, and we met Phil because he was super funny and super like into what we were doing also. And I think we introduced him to rollerblade, but he had a gymnastic background, so he was super fast on learning everything, like much faster than us on flips and stuff. So he progressed super quick, especially on rollerblade. And he got the first one invited to Texas. I got there because all of the others failed the drug test. So, and I was so like, I didn't do any drugs. So I was like young, and I was like, fuck, I can go, but I was not at the level that I should go. Like I was still like learning tricks. But yeah, everybody else failed the drug test. So that's how I got the job, kind of in mid of the season. So that was pretty funny. I was really stressed that if I was gonna pass or not, but it was all good.
So you come back 96. Is there terrain parks in Quebec in the mid 90s?
Yeah, it started in snowboarding. I don't know if skier were allowed in it. Was it how did it work back then?
But did you were allowed? But like,
we were allowed.
Relay have a park. as a kid? Like, so you're doing moguls and there's a park.
Yeah, they had a pretty okay park. Yeah, actually pretty decent. Remember Free Bob, like the jump, like where that was built 2 years before Free Bob, maybe that park. And Free Bob is what, 97?
So I'm gonna guess you didn't have like in the US where it was no skiers allowed, because it looked like you guys skied everything all the time to make Free Bob.
We were allowed, but not that welcome. But when Free Bob, that the year of Free Bob, we were getting so good that now it was all good. But before that, like it was kind of a little bit more tricky. But since we were born and raised at Le Relais, like people already knew us and the snowboarder knew us. So it was not the same at Saint-Castin, like the mountain right next to us, like 2 minutes. Like Saint-Castin was full on snowboard. Like we were not welcome there at all, at all. But Le Relais, it was not that bad.
So was Free Bob 95, 96 or 96, 97?
96, 97, I think.
So when you're doing this, because you're doing like, have you seen Free Bob ever, Ethan?
Yeah, and could you explain for the audience that doesn't know what Free Bob is? Because this is something I didn't know about until Giving Flowers, and it's actually kind of crazy, like how important it was for skiing, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So could you give a little description of Free Bob and what went into it?
But yeah, so the year that we decided that after that summer into Texas, I was like, okay, let's do that, man. I think we can do that. I think we can get sponsored. We knew that JP and Cusson and Vinny and some guys in Europe like Julian and Shimo in Japan, like we knew that some guys were starting to do that. So it's like, let's make a video of ourselves and send it to sponsor and let's see if we can actually like get that sport going. So since we didn't know the name of the sport yet, like it had no names really, it was those guys were really good mogul skiers. So it was kind of during their off time, they were doing those jumps, but there was no name. So it was like, let's call it Free Bob, because every time we were gonna go ski for fun, I don't know why, like, but we called that, let's go free bobbing, or like this word has no meaning at all. But this is how we called it. So we said, let's make this movie, the name of the movie, Free Bob. But so for us, free skiing was Free Bob. So,
and to put a timestamp on this, when they did that, it was the same winter as Poor Boys put out their first movie called State of Mind in the fall of '97. So
the year after, was it the fall before or the fall after?
It was the same year, because Degenerates was the next year. And then if you're 96, 97, it's State of Mind and Free Bob. If you're 95, 96, then you were ahead of State of Mind.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure it was the same. So did you know, because what those guys were doing, they were NORAM skiers, like how did you know that other people were doing tricks?
Because GP was here for the National Canadian, and we knew he was a good skier, and you heard about us doing some stuff into the park. So we met up with him, and we brought him to our place where we were practicing our jumps, like in Godard, and he was like doing backflip mute grab, and I think, was he doing rodeo back then? Or like he was starting to doing 360 mute and all those kind of tricks, and we showed him what we were doing. He's like, oh man, you guys are so ahead, man. Like, okay, this is crazy. Like you gotta do that movie. Give me the tape. I'll help you guys out. Like, and after that winter, when we were done with Free Bob, so we had actually really good footage. Like, and since that day,
fucked up. Put this in perspective. Phil LaRose was doing switch fives with Solomon F9s, non-twin tips, because Quebec is icy, right? So you could actually hit terrain park jumps with non-twin tip skis and do tricks.
Well, so I have a question based off of that. Why didn't you guys, were ski blades even around at that time? Because if you're going from rollerblading to wanting to do rollerblade tricks in the park, it would make sense to have shorter skis, really short skis, you know?
No, the only thing that was out, I think it was out. It was, you remember how they call that? The boots that were, I don't even think you know.
Bigfoot.
Those.
No, they had the big, they still make them.
Yeah, so it was a ski boot, but instead of a footbed, like it was like kind of a little bit twin, and you could ski on that. So you were pretty much, it was rollerblade on snow. So like ski
There's
boot.
dope ass Euro edits still
Yeah.
that come out every other month to this day.
So that was like the real beginning of twin tip skiing, kind of like that was that kind of skis boots, or it was not skis, it was just boots that you could slide on.
You had friends that had those?
Yeah, actually, but the rollerblade company where I was working at, they got some from Europe. So I was like that same year of Freebob, I was also trying that prototype of boots and doing some demo on them, and like but it was, for us it makes no sense, man. I could never land anything, man. Yeah, you landed and it didn't work at all. You could land switch, it was way too short of length, like it makes no sense.
So what, you guys being so advanced, are you thinking about manipulating your technology all? Like trying to
so after that, the question, but I think you know about that, Albert, but so we were, La Rose wanted to do switch, so he's like, man, fuck it, I'm just gonna build a twin tip skis. So he went into his garage, got some skis, put some binder, and we was able to like lift a little bit one of his skis back, and it created like his first twin tip, and it's like, oh shit, that works, like that's gonna work for sure. So we kind of like did our own first twin tips into our garage, and then but
just
then that
by
was
putting the tail in a vise and pulling back?
Yeah.
Dope. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I always tell people that you just hit it, let La Rose hit it with straight F9s.
Oh, he did for that. Oh yeah, in that movie. But like he did some skis like that. Like I don't know if he actually skied it, or it was so fast after that. Like things happened so quick. Like we knew that Solomon were working on that project and Dinostar, and like the ball rolled so fast. But like that winter when the movie was done, and then we would give it to Jean-Luc. And
Jean-Luc Brassard.
Yeah.
So how did you know him?
Through Mogul.
So I'm just trying to put this in perspective. The god of moguls of all time is like, yo, little Phils, you guys are dope. Let me hook you. You know what I mean? It's so interesting to me because I mean, I don't know if there's been anyone bigger than Jean-Luc Brassard.
No, but that's what happened. It's like, so that way, I think that's like, I'm lost in timeline, but I'm pretty sure everything happened in the same winter. Or was it this winter after? In December? No,
just keep going with the Jean-Luc link and then we'll figure it out. I never heard this.
No, because after that movie, so we gift tapes to people. Jean-Luc got it, but didn't do anything with it. K2 got it. Nobody really did anything except GP. But they all watched it, I think, and like, or the word was out that we were three guys from Quebec, from Le Relais, that were pretty good at doing that kind of new sports. So, yeah, because it was in December. So they invited us into Tremblant. So that's when the Tremblant story started and the whole thing started. That was the winter after, because it could not have been the same winter.
So this is like December 97.
Okay. So yeah,
I got a question before we progress. Okay,
Yeah.
so at this point, no company is making twin tips, but it's in the early stages of it. Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Solomon, that was, I think, the year Freebob Solomon were producing like that thing. Those guys ski on it that summer, in the summer camp. That's when the first time they ski on the
proto. But it still took another year for release because it wasn't until 99 when No, 98, February 98 was the first time when JP or JF held the ski over his head. So it came out fall of 98, 1080.
Apart from people making it in their garage or whatever, who was the first company that actually, or who was the first company that put out twin tip skis? Because I have always heard that it was Jason Leventhal, but I don't know if that's true. There's all these different words of like, oh, Solomon was doing it, but really this other company had one. So who was like the first for that?
I would say Solomon, because I don't even think Jay was just a skier back then. Like at that early stage, like he was this snowblader, like but this company was not born yet. But I might be, I don't know. What do you think, Ivor?
Well, Iber's showing off
this
something.
This is from 1976.
Holy shit.
It has a fucking perfect twin tip, as you can see. And so twin tips have been around and they've been mass produced by every fucking company for every decade since 1920.
Oh, because of the ballet skiers?
No, that was just a freestyle ski, right? That was the Kesley called, the ski was called the Freestyle Pro. And so I'm going to keep going quick. Okay? We got some Canaveals and we got some fucking Blizzards. These are from the 70s as well. Here's an awesome Blizzard.
Yeah, for
Nice
the audio
Here's
people, Iber's showing off a bunch of skis right now.
So, and then the last one we have, this is called the Kneisel, the Swinger or something. But there's your front tip, and there's your tail.
Oh, yeah.
These were all made in the 70s. They have the 60s. In the 80s, there wasn't any made. In the 90s, the first ski, only talking full length, is the K2 Poacher in 96. It was the softest piece of shit that could ever break. I had a friend at my hill that broke 50 pair. So this was like a 160. Then after that, you have Dynastar came out with a thing called a ripstick, 97. The ripstick was kind of like one of these short twin tips, but it was their twin tip, but it was 160. So you had guys like myself that had to ski a 160, Evan Didvig, my height. So to say who's the first is not fair.
Because they're all
I even sent Jay Leventhal 4 years ago. I found a wooden twin tip from 1910 on eBay. And I was like, here, motherfucker, quit telling people. And he went and bought it. So they've been out there. And that was for ski patrol in the early 1900s so they could ski backwards while tobogganing people down the hill.
Yeah. Damn. Okay. And another question just to establish the base before we get into Tremblant. So, new Canadian Air Force. So we did the old Canadian Air Force. Who was the new Canadian Air Force and what was their impact?
But that was actually after the Tremblant. Like they were not
perfect.
The new Canadian yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Is there 3 fills yet?
No, the building of the 3 fills coming.
All right.
So after that summer, like people were starting to talk about us, and we started the season skiing, and we had no sponsor back then, but people were interested in seeing what we could do. So because at that point, now I'm pretty sure Jean-Luc showed our tapes to Dynastar because he was on the Dynastar freestyle team. He's like, man, those guys are pretty good. I think they can definitely help you guys to build all the twin tip skis and the twin tip scene and all that. And they had only Candide in Europe. And Candide was coming from a Mogul background, so he was already well implanted to like Dynastar, and like he was really, really good at Moguls. So they said, okay, we need North American kids for sure. So they sent us to Tremblant to do a bigger exhibit. No, was it an exhibition or an actual contest? It was kind of an exhibition during the World Cup, Mogul World Cup at Tremblant. So I was like, perfect, man, let's go. And we couldn't believe it. So I was like, you guys can just take your car, rent a hotel room. We'll pay for everything. And we'll see what you can do. And after that, we'll talk, see where you're at. So it's like, man, there's no way somebody's going to pay me to go to Tremblant. So we freaking got the cheapest motel ever made. We slept, the 3 of us, in one bed. Like, we didn't eat anything pretty much because we had no money. So we're like, let's save as much, do that contest, and go back home, because this is never going to happen for real. So we did that, and we got to the contest. And then Fidu was also invited from Solomon. Like, Fidu was starting to make some noise into that Tremblant area with Vinny and Cusson. So those guys invited Fidu, and GP and Jean-Luc invited us. So there was the 4th field, actually, like the 3 of us plus Filou. And Cusson, GP, and Vinny. And I think from the US, do you remember Iberg who was doing the exhibition?
No, I didn't even know.
I know there were some guys also from other countries, but I don't remember who they were. So we got there, and we were all stoked. Jump was okay, like pretty good crowd. Everything was fine. So we started training. We do our tricks, like back then. That here, like I was doing rodeo 7, kind of like pretty actually cool with a cool grab, Dion was doing Misty 7. LaRose was doing. Was it doing? No, it was 7 mute ground. We were all doing pretty
Did
cool
he have
tricks.
did any of you guys have the forward bio yet?
I did.
Okay. Dude, so these guys had a rotation that no one else in the world still never has, and they only had it for like a year or two randomly as tricks because the beginning of the sport was so awesome. No one could like remember a trick when they landed it.
Yeah.
But the rotation these kids had for the first 2 years, him and LaRose, was fucked up. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, it had no names on it. Like I wanted to do cork 7, but since I was really bad at doing backflip, like I was never able to actually just go and do a real backflip. Like I'm not from that background. So every time I was doing backflip, I was corking my head. So that's why we kind of like, everybody says D-spin Douglas, but we did cork 7 like way like before that, like not knowing that we were doing that. And then I wanted to do Misty, and I couldn't do it either. So it turns out into a rodeo, like but perfect turntable, like 720 rodeo, like tricks that I don't think I've done more than 6 or 7 times. But in free bob, like I land perfectly, like with the grab, like it's like a trick that you could do now and still be relevant during a contest. So anyway, saying that, like we got there, did all those tricks just before the contest. The organization told us, yeah, guys, you guys are not certified to do inverted tricks. So you can't do any invert tricks. You cannot do all the tricks. You need to do straight up like 720 or 540 or mute grab, all that, because you're not sanctioned. It's like, man, really? Like the whole point of coming here is to show the world what we can do. And this is what we do. Like we're doing free skiing. We're not sanctioned. There's no rule. This is that doesn't work at all in our mind and what we wanted to do.
Is this a group meeting?
Yeah, we're on top of the.
Does anyone else have the same opinions as you guys?
And they didn't have that much. The other guys like Vinny, all those guys, they were not there yet. Like they had inverted tricks, but they were also really good at doing 17.
I was thinking more about the fourth Phil, because the fourth Phil is like a skateboarder, right? So he's got to hate rules the most out of everyone.
Yeah, but he still had potential to win, kind of. Like he was still in the game, and like for sure it was better if none of us, it was better if it was not allowed, because if it was allowed, like for sure we were sweeping the podium, like no question. So I guess those guys knew already, maybe, or like for us it was new. Like it was like we got there thinking we were going to show what we can do. That was the whole point of being there.
But they were all in NORAMs, right? Every guy.
Yeah, exactly. Those guys were
already a fifth skier.
Yeah, exactly. And they still had like it was the beginning of the season, so GP still had to do his full-on moguls. Like Cusson also, they were really good at that point. Vini, like all those guys were good moguls here, and they had the season to go through. Like we had nothing. Like we were doing that. Like we were doing free skiing. That was it. That was all. Like it was the only thing we wanted to do. So at the top of the contest, at the meetings, like the three of us was like, okay, well, I was doing 720 Lukang, like super nice, super clean, like really good. And Dion was landing his Misty 7 all the time, and LaRose was doing his Rodeo 7 and landing all the time. So it's like, let's do that. But when those guys were able also to do 720 mutes and all grabs that could also win into a straight up kind of a contest. So it's like, Phil, they told me, like, Phil, you're going to do your 720 Lukang, win that shit. Just go for it, man. I know you're going to win. And Dion and LaRose, we're going to get disqualified, but we're going to show the rest of the world what we can do. And boom, that's going to be our stanceman, and let's go with it. So we all agree it's like perfect fit. If I win, I split the prize money, the three of us, like we make a pact, we make a deal, and let's go with that. So it's like perfect. And boom. So we did the contest. I do my 720, win the contest, fucking party like they were no tomorrow that night. Like we couldn't believe.
Did they get disqualified?
Those guys got disqualified, those two, but the crowd got crazy. Like, so after that contest, everybody was saying, fuck, who are those three Phils? This is how it all, like, who the fuck are those three Phils, man? This is crazy. Like, those guys are so good and blah, blah, and blah, blah. So it was like the next morning we woke up, no, that night what's that photographer name again for Fade Clothing? They were taking picture.
Winterton. Jeff
Winterton. So Jeff Winterton was there taking picture for magazines or for stuff. So right after, like, we go to the bar, Jeff Winterton's like, you guys, tomorrow morning, tonight I'm paying you sleeping in my hotel room. Like, he had a big hotel room. Tonight you're sleeping there. Tomorrow morning we're gonna go shoot some rails or some jumps. And not rails, because we're not doing rails yet. But we're gonna just go like
getting wasted with the photographer. And he's like, yo, you sleeping in my spot tonight. We shooting tomorrow morning.
Yeah, he was like, this is it. And he gave us clothes. Like, you guys gonna wear that tomorrow. You're gonna take pictures. So he gave us some fake clothes, like right there. Like the next day, boom, everything started. And yeah, so we partied that night like fucking crazy, man. It was like one of those nights I will always remember all my life. Like, it was really, really, really crazy. And next morning we wake up, we do some shoots. He gave us the product, and already we thought that was weird. Like, well, whoa, like this is just the beginning of the whole thing. So I think we got the clothes. We gave it back. I don't know what happened, but so we go back to Quebec, and I think
you always told me he gave you clothes, did a photo shoot with you, and then took the clothes back after the shoot.
I think I don't. Maybe he gave us a couple things, but because I know
I never saw you in fake clothes again after that.
I did for a little bit, for a month or two. I think I did for the beginning of that season. I think we got some stuff from them.
Nice.
But yeah, so we go back to Quebec, man. And we're like, fuck. Like at that point, I was working like into a shoe store. Like all of us were working to save our money to go to Whistler, so we already put deposit into our condo, our apartment. Like,
so how old are you guys at this time?
I'm 18. I'm 18 then. I'm 18.
Okay, so you and LaRose are 18 and Dion's 20.
Yeah. Like I'm 18, LaRose is 19, and LaRose is 21. Dion is 21 already, maybe 2021 is 2 years. So yeah, 20 or 21. So we got that first payment on the first 2-month rent into Whistler. So it's like, let's just go, man, like every Quebecer do. Let's move to Whistler and make our name for ourselves and see where it goes. And if it doesn't work, let's come back in 2 years and just go back to school or whatever, figure something out. But at that point, the only thing we wanted to do is skiing. So
Whist is the dream spot for every Canadian kid on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You needed to go to Whistler if you wanted to become somebody, or just have fun skiing, or just live the life.
It was epic. It was affordable. You could pack 6 guys in a room. Yeah. You could figure out a way to save money and then live. You didn't even have to work because you could save enough to afford to do it. And it was just like, and then you could find jobs that could afford you to live. Like, it was just so realistic back then, and it was an epicenter for freestyle through snowboarding in Canada in the late 90s with not West Coast Sessions, but I see it, the color red. It was before WSI. And it was huge. So in snowboarding, it was beyond a mecca for freestyle snowboarding in the late 90s.
Yeah. So all that was already set up. So it was January. We're supposed to move in. It was December when the contest happened, and we were supposed to move there 1st of January. And as soon as we came back from Tremblant, I think 2 weeks after that, like the phone just started ringing nonstop. Like it was like, okay, guys, Dinner Stars has agreed to meet you guys. You're going in Europe right now. They want to see what you guys can do, how you can help them out to build the new prototype skis with Candide for Dinner Star, and you guys are on board. We want you, and this is it. So I was like, oh, okay, man. Like never travel. I took the plane once, was to go to the SeaWorld, but yeah.
I just want to say at this age, Phil, LaRose and Belanger pretty much spoke no English, and this all worked out because Dino Star was French. So, but realistically, they have to have it. This is the beginning of 3 Phils, how it works on the back end too. I want to like just prompt you this way, because Dion is this like business guy in their circle. you know, because he's the older person and he's the only one who speaks English. And so I just want to prompt that because I think it's a big deal. Maybe if a kid's listening now to understand at age 18, you didn't have fucking any English.
No money, no
you were going to travel
no, fucking nothing at all. Like nothing to lose. But I was, yeah, I was.
I just think it's amazing, right? Like because so many people are bilingual now at 18 without the opportunity that you had.
Yeah.
You weren't bilingual and got this crazy opportunity.
Yeah. So that's why it was important to stick as the three fill, because first we were really, really good friend, and we really needed each other in all different aspects of life. So since I was a younger, La Rose was taking more care of me as the older brother. La Rose was Dion was more like the business guys I ever say, and I was more the one that's like go, like let's get crazy. And I was a little bit more, just more crazy. So the three of us made perfect match. Like it worked out super good, and for companies also, like everything was so much easier for them. Like for photos, for video, like it was always the crew. So you get more footage, you get more everything, more input, it was more expensive kind of, but it's just more easier. And for marketing wise, it was also great branding for everybody. Like it was super easy. So, but we didn't create that. We didn't sat down like, hey guys, let's call ourselves the Three Fills, man, and let's fucking roll with that shit. Like people called us the Three Fill, and we never really wanted it, but they were always no, we're gonna do that with the Three Fills. We were like, we're gonna do. So it's like,
when was the first time someone branded you as the Three Fills?
It was Destructure. Yeah, Destructure, definitely. Yeah. They say this is how it's gonna be. It's gonna make sense. And Phoenix
star on that concept.
But Phoenix, Phoenix, Smith, and Dinosaur. When we got those three sponsors, they all had the same vision, and they all say let's do that branding, like the three company all together, and let's keep doing that.
Did Filou feel like he was left out of not being a fourth fill?
No, because Filou has his crew. Like as I say, we didn't want it to be the Three Fills. We were the crew from Lac Beauport, from Quebec, that was called Phil. The three of us were being called Phil, but Filou had his crew with Kisson and Vini, and also his friend, I don't remember his name, but it was super
Mathieu
good.
Paquette.
Mathieu, but another one too that it didn't last long, but it was really, really good. He was also a really good friend of Kisson. But so Filou was all good. He had his crew, and it was actually good for him to be so close from the Solomon people, like because already like So and GP were slowly like moving away from it. Like they were older when they started it, so they had not that same power, like for remember, like for jumping and for actually progressing into free skiing. So went to Europe, got that deal with Dynastar, and that whole season just life got crazy, and it hasn't stopped since today. But yeah, it just got like out of hands, like because at that point of free skiing, every company needed people like us. Like they had not enough pioneer kind of a sport for the investment that companies wanted to put into that sports, because it was finally something different, unique, and really fun. Like everything else was getting so strict. Like aerial were already so like strict, and
snowboarding was murdering skiing for 8 years at this point.
Yeah.
And a lot of these companies Solomon made some snowboards in the K2 in the late 90s, but when said and done, they still wanted skiers to be skiers.
Yeah.
That's what their history was. So it's such a crazy reinvestment by our sport to create, like, you have to think about how much money all these molds cost, even though they only created twin tips in a 165 and a 180. And that's all you had the choice for the first 3 fucking years of our sport.
Yeah.
But to create those molds it's a huge investment.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure people know about that investment.
Yeah. And actually to pay us, man, we were getting paid really, really well, because there was not enough of us. So if you wanted to get the best one, you needed to pay them, and like everybody was making money back then. Like every.
So on a sport that doesn't exist, on a product that doesn't exist, when they sign someone, how much money do you make as an investment? Because it's not really it's a sponsorship, just like everyone gets. But what do you make as your first contract from Dinastar?
The first one, maybe it was 20. That's a lot, maybe. But the first one I don't remember, but at least around 15 to 20,000.
20 though. Like it might have been, because if you looked at what the Solomon guys got paid right away, it was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I want to throw this in here too. So I interviewed Ian Compton, who is probably one of like the fan favorites from my generation. I asked him, what's the biggest contract you ever got in your entire career? And it was when his good friend was the team manager of Nordica. At the height of his career, he only got $8,000. That was his biggest contract ever. So this is like 20 grand for a sport that doesn't even exist yet.
Yeah, I don't know. It's great, man. That was just one sponsor. That was just Dinastar.
It's not Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix were like Japanese company. They were all into it, and they had a lot of money because Phoenix was huge in Mogul. Phoenix was huge in Japan. Like it was a really, really good. But it's still
so 98. I'm gonna put this. We did Johnny Mosley as an old head our second week, and so Phoenix, this Japanese company, Johnny wins the Olympics in 98 in Japan at the Olympics.
Crazy.
Phoenix is a 100-year-old Japanese company. So Dinastar or Phoenix signs the three fills. So the whole team is branded Johnny Mosley in the three fills. Every ad, every promotion. So it's like they gave credibility in the sport of twin tipping, and Johnny gave him credibility because he was superstar.
Phil, what'd you think of Johnny? Was he cool, or was he an old man? He was cool.
Oh yeah. Hey, we didn't spend that much time like one-on-one, but when we went, I think I went in Japan to 1 or 2 times with him, and we were seeing each other like a couple times a year. But yeah, he's always been super chill with us. Always like our vibe kind of, because we were pretty crazy. Like the three of us together, man, you got to be ready. Like we were partying, we were like always on the move, like always, like you cannot just chill. You can tell Iberg, like it was nonstop, like craziness. And he got into our vibe, and I think he liked it because we didn't take ourselves seriously at all, like not whatsoever. For us, all that happened, it was just bonus. Like every day I was like, man, this is gonna stop at some point. Like this is not real. Like it can't be, that can't happen. Like so.
So these guys were like 3 brothers in their late teens, right? So imagine going to like university or a freshman, and then you like meet 2 other guys that are named Ethan.
Yeah.
And then you're like, we get to travel the world. And then you just but you're brotherly because you're at that point of traveling the world. Really, like that's your family. Dude, the shit I would watch with these kids, like brother shit. Like, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm going to pull out a knife on you.
Oh yeah.
That was the vibe all day, every day of like, dude, all we'd do is drink clouds away. All we would do is, like, oh fuck, I heard it's supposed to snow tomorrow. Fuck that, we needed blue to film. So like every element of the three fills was like late teens, early 20s brothers that were fucking ready to like fight each other at any moment.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
That's awesome.
No, it was crazy. So like around Johnny, it was like that. Like even Dominic Gauthier, like Jean-Luc, like every time those Mogul were jumping into our circle, like they loved it because it was always on. Like it was either skiing, like doing some crazy stuff, and our adrenaline was so high, and our like everything we were doing, we were inventing or learning. Like now they call it training, but for us, like we never knew what could happen at the end of the day because, man, it was all tricks or all things we never done. So it was so intense. So that night, man, we were drinking to relieve kind of the pressure or partying. So it was like 2 days of skiing hard, drinking, and then one big night, 2 days off, and boom, boom. Like,
but even then, just to put it in perspective, the 2 days off is bullshit. Because if you drink the clouds away, you don't lay there with blue skies on a perfect day.
I know exactly.
The best
And that happened
memory of life was the first day he ever did a cork 9 tail grab in the half pipe. We got fucked up like so hard till 3 a.m. and we woke up because we were saying we're drinking the clouds away all night. And then it was like, oh, it's blue. The best pipe in the world is only 15 minutes away from where we're renting this place in Salt Lake. And then we go up and he murders it. But I just want to make sure you don't like, you never missed anything because of party.
No, not at all.
There was no fucking laziness in the shit.
No, exactly. But the reason I think I'm trying to figure out why, like, all of our crew back then for like the 5 years that we were together, not just the three Phil, but everybody, like Cusson, Philou, Raps, like fucking everybody. We were so intense, man, nonstop, 24/7. It's, I think, because when we were skiing, it was so fucking intense that at night we just needed to kind of release. Like that was the scene was so different. Like so. Different.
Imagine every one of these kids who's the best had to visualize everything they created.
Yeah.
And when you
stand on top, it's like,
on your feet,
am I really gonna do that? Am I really fucking just did it, man? Okay, buddy. I think he went a little too inverted. That's why he didn't land it. Okay, so I put my head there. Maybe I'll get it, man. Fuck. Okay, let's go, man. Kira, I go over. And then you're like, oh shit, I landed it. No way, man.
So I want to ask. So the tricks you were doing, the obviously apart from the regular upright rotations, none of these tricks, any off-axis rotation, did not have a name at all. And same with the grabs. The grabs didn't have names either. So I feel like that's a good point.
Grab, like mute Japan, like the snowboard, the skateboard.
Yeah.
But all the other names that got invented had no names back then.
So that's a good point for the kids, for the new generation to know, because they talk about, they're doing like these bring back tricks today, which is kind of like the same thing. They're pulling it out of thin air and creating something that doesn't exist. You guys had like pretty much nothing to go off of. So it's just like every day is inventing a new trick. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like rollerblading, that's why they had the Lukings, right? So you can hear it come from there.
Yeah.
You had a misty flip because snowboarders did. But at the same time, the Tahoe kids were like, dude, we don't stand sideways. We're going to call it a mystery flip. It's not a misty. So Phil's had a Phil grab. Tahoe kids didn't want to call it a Phil grab, so they called it a shady grab.
What is the Phil grab?
You kind of cross your leg on the other side. It's kind of but it's a Phil's grab. There's no grab that really like that. Like nobody else would be able to do it really
you
good.
Grab
So
right hand, right ski, right by your boot. Cross it like if it was a mute, and then you can do whatever with your body how you want to do it. But it's just
like a safety brought over to
safety
a mute.
crossed.
Yeah.
Mute.
But in the Johnny Mosley game, like he did it pretty well. Like if you do the up down 1 2 3 or something like that, you can do the Phil's grab. And actually, in the video game, they did it pretty good, Johnny. So at least we got that to show the kids. But I don't think that game exists anymore. But I'm sure it's somewhere.
Oh, it's out there, man. They even got the stink bug.
Yeah.
Or what was it called? The pedophile? I don't know. They got some crazy year 2000 name trick.
Like that beginning, that era was so intense that that's after that, like it's kind of hold it same, like nothing like what did we do everything went super fast and Dina
then the movies started coming, right? Then you started filming with like Iberg and all these other production companies.
Let's stay right now because it's so fast, right? So he just got done, put his shit out in 97. 98, this is when Mosley wins Olympics. He's getting his first contracts, like whatever. So now all of a sudden, we just talked about Dina Star, he signed for almost like 15 to 20,000. Next contract comes along. What's after Dina Star?
Phoenix.
So how much does Phoenix pay the 3 Phils? First fucking contract with Johnny Mosley and the 3 Phils.
I think that was like 25 the first year. Because it got up to 40 at the end, I think, or 30 or something like that. So it's got to be around 20, 25.
And this is you like 19, 20 years old?
Now, before the 98.
Yeah, I was like, 19.
19 years old. Okay, there we go. Go ahead.
Smith, What are you getting from Smith?
Smith was like at the beginning maybe 2,000 like or 5,000, like the first year 2,500 or something like that. It was not that.
So what I'd like to remind people now, a sport that's just beginning, these kids are signing contracts. There's these new contests that are being made. There's X Games for the first time. There's US Open. There's such a thing as victory incentive and photo incentive because magazines are big. Cover shots are worth money.
Yeah.
Full page ads are worth, or full page spreads are worth money. 2-page spreads are worth money. So when you sign this contract, not only does he have the ability to make that salary, but he has the ability, if he gets multiple covers a year, he can double that contract almost. If
not double, it was like $1,000 for a cover, and we were capping at because they capped us for a victory incentive, maybe at 5,000 or 10,000 or something like that. So yeah, but no.
And then these kids are selling their product because they get so much product at summer camps in the summer to campers. Well, they get paid to be a coach.
Yeah.
That's still the method. A lot of people still selling.
I'm just saying, but that's the method of survival.
Yeah.
I'm saying when I'm watching these kids sell their shit, that's after they're making $70,000.
Because they just don't need all that shit.
No, and then they
man, anyway, man, you know what we did with that money? It went straight into So
I know. I'm just saying it was. I'm only talking this because it's not to rub it in people's faces, but it's to make an idea of kids in the industry that it was investment money. And if you look at investment money into a company, it's different than the money that you put in once it's sustainable. And so that is why the money is different. So if a kid's like Ian Compton, why is the money different? Well, what did Ian Compton invent?
Yeah, he was in the 2000s. The sport was already existing. Yeah.
So I just want to make
the value of everything goes with his how rare it is. So since there were not a lot of us, all of our value were so much higher because we just, as soon as we got more people, our value just decreased. And now there's so many good kids. The value of a freestyle skier right now is nothing.
Well, yeah, because at the beginning you were, especially since you were a trio of people, you were impossible to replace. You know, even if one of you left, like you lose the whole allure of like, oh, the three Phils and like all that branding. So like all three of you guys individually were very valuable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
As far as a company, and it was not because we were that good. It was they had no other choice anyway. Like it was us or it was GP.
I want to disagree. This is how good they were. Phil wrote every single half pipe event through 2001. Yeah. So 98 to 2001, Phil LaRose won every half pipe event in the fucking world that he touched. Phil Belanger was the U.S. first ever realistic U.S. Open champion in slopestyle in 99, which was the second ever U.S. Open because the first one, Glenn Plake was doing ballet tricks in between jumps and doing potty squats off the kickers. So the U.S. Open that Phil won was against a bunch of fucking gnarly shit. People doing crazy. And then he got second place in Big Air that year. Yeah. And then he went on to win like Global X Games 2001 or 2002 in or 3 in Whistler. So these guys, they were actually like top level. Like I won't let you sell yourself short on this.
No, like, with the Red
style events when he was the best.
Yeah, Red Bull Rockfest between me and Kendine when I won over like the jumps and quarter pipes. So, So yeah. No, at that point before I blew my knee, me and LaRose were the best out there. Like by equal
like
as
LaRose,
we're competing.
2001, Phil LaRose in royalty in this movie. There's the day I can see, like he was the best. Spring 2001 at Mount Hood Meadows. He was doing right side, left side tricks all day on this jump line. The biggest jumps I ever seen. Everything. He was 10 times better than the next best skier in the world. And then he snapped his ankle in half, and then you're like, and that was kind of it. But that day, man, day, no one was better than him by far.
Yeah.
So sick.
So that's the whole beginning, and it was a mix of a lot of people that believe in us and actually didn't want it that's what was cool back then. They didn't want to keep it for themselves. Like a lot of them could have seen us as a threat, like be like, fuck man, hey man, if I show that tape like Jean-Luc or GP, or if I show that tape, man, that means I'm out. Like those guys are much better. But instead of that, like everybody, like at that point of the skiing era, like we just wanted to have more people into our sports and just regroup and do all the contests together and see where each other were at and push each other during the contest and film session. And like that was a national team, was actually an international national, like it was all of us with all of us against all of us. Like it was nothing, was like there was no team, or it was just all of us together.
Was there any conflicts in the beginning? Like, because there were so many superstars in Quebec in the late 90s, when half of the world superstars in our sport came from a 3-hour driving circle of each other in Quebec. Half.
But not us, like the first one, the pioneer, like the maybe after us, maybe some guys.
I'm just
like,
wondering, refill New Canadian Air Force.
Oh no, not at all.
Good. Like, just because it was so, you guys were so big, and like everyone, like I even remember like a jealousy though. My first year filming with you guys, like people would be like, "Why do the Phils get their own filmer?" And I'm like, I'm just hanging out with 3 guys. Now, if I was hanging out with Tanner and CR and Raps, no one would say, "Why does Tanner, CR, and Raps get their own filmer?" Yeah. You know, because there's 3 names they have to say before. But I was always hanging out. So I was interested because I did hear shit where some people were, I think, jealous of your success.
Yeah.
You know, because you guys.
No, I mean, because since we didn't decide to be the 3 Phils, me when GP was there, like I got a really good relationship with GP and Cusson. And actually, let's say La Rose at the beginning clicked really well with GP. I clicked a little bit more with Cusson. So as soon as we were with those guys, like I was not with Phil and Phil, like I was with Cusson and Phil was with GP, and because we were not the 3 Phils, like we were just friends. And
could you define the New Canadian Air Force and talk about them at this point?
Yeah, like now after that, like this is when they come up, and that's why, when Aber said it was Philou kind of jealous or something, not really, because he got to be part of it.
So you know, that was a sarcastic comment because I always poke Philou as being the 4th Phil. So I didn't think he was jealous. It makes sense of the region he was in, his friend set up. Everything makes total sense to me, but it's just a long.
No, but you're right. People might think why, like, say, oh, it kind of sucks, like Philou, but no, actually, it was good for him that he never got into the 4th Phil. It was between us, but nobody really said that much of that. Like, it didn't come out of our little world. But it was way more. It was part of the New Canadian Air Force, and that has more value actually as of today. Like this is the New Canadian Air Force are stronger than the 3 Phil. Like it.
They are, because they had 2 brands, that Old Canadian and New Canadian.
Yeah, exactly, and that was Cusson, Vinny, Philou, Mike, Douglas, Shane Zox. That's it.
JP,
yeah.
Is that something they called themselves, or was that another marketing thing that somebody else put on them?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It had to be a Douglas and Solomon thing because Douglas is an old.
Yeah.
So at this time, Douglas was late 20s. Yeah. You know, and he was a coach.
So he's kind of old for the free skiing community at that point.
Oh yeah.
Oh, he was a coach for the North American mogul team for Canada, and so he had Vinny and JP and JF as athletes and Shane Zox on his team, and they would go and trick after practice or during summer camp on the Whistler Windlip, and so he was kind of the driving force to create the 1080 and stuff like this. So I would guess the New Canadian Air Force was Douglas being like, yo, we had the old Canadian Air Force. Yeah. This is the new shit. So to me, Douglas was a smart guy. Yeah. He was the only reason the 1080 really happened.
And it makes sense because they were all on the national team together. So they were, it was a marketing move, but I think it made a lot of sense. And it was actually good for us.
For a Minnesota kid. that love the old Canadian Air Force. You're like, what?
Yeah.
Because it's only a 6-year difference. 2000, or even not even 1994, when the original Canadian Air Force was still dominating the Olympics. And to have a new Canadian Air Force in 98, only one Olympic span. So everything was very relevant for what that title meant in freestyle skiing.
Yeah. And it made sense for the media, it was easier for people to make the transition and try to understand what we were doing, because it was hard. Like nobody understand what we were doing. Like it was not a FIS sports, it was only X game and like all pro sports. So to get outside of the world coverage, like it was really, really, really hard. Like in Quebec, like they jump into that because once again we're such a trademark and it was so cute being the three fill. So the media liked that story, but they had no clue what the fuck we were doing. Like they had such a hard time explaining it to the public, like what we were doing. Like but we didn't care. Like the kids saw the footage like on TV, and so we were able to at least get the community to start knowing what we were doing and create the new generation. And that's why it got so big in Quebec. It's between 98 to 2001, we had so much coverage like out of the media here originally in Quebec City that everybody knew us and everybody knew what free skiing was.
So imagine this mainstream, because of that title, New Canadian Air Force, mainstream TV, mainstream radio, mainstream newspaper has already covered Canadian Air Force in the sports section for the previous 15, 20 years. Yeah. So now when this happened, because there's nowhere else in the world this happened. There's nowhere else in the world where people in 98 were being like, kids are doing tricks. They're the new Canadian Air Force. Yeah. You couldn't say that anywhere. They're the new US freestyle ski team. They're the new whatever. So it was like, actually, what you say, that's a huge actually factor, that branding for, because the opportunity that happened in Quebec and that and probably adds up to why you even could start a ski shop was because people in your community cared about your sport. But,
exactly. But this is the only reason where I'm at now. Like it's only reason is because we had a good story. The three fill was, as I say, it was cool, was cute, was easy for the media, was easy for the public to watch, the dad and moms, but kids also, they could translate that to their kids. Like, hey, look at those three fills. They're doing things like, what do you think? Hey, wow, that's sick, mom. Can I try it? And so kids just start to be like, whoa, I want to do that too. Like, this is crazy. So
I got two Quebec questions.
Yep.
And they're both from a young man's perspective. So the first one, because Phil Casaubon didn't give us an answer, so I'm sorry to throw this on you, Phil. Why the hell is everyone named Phil? Do you know? He did not give us a real answer.
No, for real, man. It's like the last name in Quebec, let's say Tremblay, like I could tell you why, because the heritage of some people, but the first name Philippe, man.
I sent it to Iberg. The etymology of it comes from the Greek of it means lover of horses.
Yeah.
Got a horse on his shirt. Let's go.
Cheval nage.
Yeah, no, I know that. Yeah.
Okay. And the other question I have, and this is I think the new heads will appreciate this, because Quebec is so known for the street skiing. Were you guys skiing street, or at what point did you guys start skiing street in Quebec?
Pretty early because of rollerblade. Okay. We're doing a thing but what I said, I think Tremblant, I think that the World Cup, we did some rail, right then, not even on twin tips yet. We were starting to do wooden rails. So since day one, I think we started rail for us. And after that, urban got into the year after, right away. It was something that we did. And Quebec was so good for rail. So after royalty, we did a lot, Iberg. We were already into that. So to being that good in royalty, we needed to do at least 2 years prior to that, learning to start doing some rail. So yeah.
Who was the first one to hit the red ledge?
Ooh, great question. I don't have a fucking clue.
This is
Have you ever hit it, Phil?
Yeah, it was me or La Rose, but I don't remember which one of us did it first.
What? You're claiming one of you two did it first?
Yeah, because with Guillaume Brochet, a snowboarder, like when the snowboard crew did it, we did it right after he showed it to us. And
Wow.
Oh, so the snowboarders had it first.
oh yeah, the snowboarder first. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I'd love to, at some point, Iberg, talking about ideas, I'd love to do a series that like talks about all the legendary spots, because there's a few spots that like the history of them, just the spot itself, you could go on forever. Like we could talk about the Red Ledge for the next hour and a half if we wanted to, but we won't.
Or Rail Gardens for 10 days.
Yep. Or I mean, you could do Chad's Gap forever. Like there's so many different ones you could go over.
Yeah. Nuts. What you or LaRose did the Red Ledge first, huh?
Our GP, like they was the same winter.
Was it red then?
Huh?
Was it red then?
Yeah. Yeah, we shoveled
I
it.
want to know the answer, man. If someone knows the answer when this shit comes
Somebody
out.
know if somebody has the first footage, let us know. Or first photo.
But it's in the exact science. So what's the year of the exact science?
2003.
And Royalty was the same year, right? 2001.
You didn't make a movie 2002.
Okay, so maybe GP then, maybe
2002. You wore the red tape shirts. I don't know. 2002 or 3. Exact science.
So I think we did. I thought we did exact science the same year as Royalty.
Fuck no. Your first thing when we lived in Mammoth together the first year in 01, 02, like you guys were all wearing red tape shirts for the first time. And that was your
Red Tape is much older. Red Tape is like this third movie.
Oh, yeah. No, you did
First
not.
movie was Exact Science. The first one we made Exact Science.
You really think you made fucking Playhouse Films when we released Royalty?
Or is it here after?
Yeah.
And we didn't do the Red Legend Royalty?
No.
Okay.
No,
We allowed like certain come off earlies and royalties. Like
Okay, so it's the year after, yeah. So it's pretty sure it's in Red Tape.
Could you guys talk about because this was so interesting in Giving Flowers, talking about how the AR7 came to be with the addition of the fills for Armada. And I know this might be jumping ahead in the timeline, but
that's where we are. No, that's where we are.
It's right when Royalty ends.
Oh, perfect. Okay, yeah. I'd like to know about that, like getting kind of the birth of Armada and then adding in the fill we have with us.
So that's the winter after I think I blew my knee. We're done with Royalty. So Dion was starting to be to ski a little bit less strong. Like he had a back injury, I think, or a knee injury, or a shoulder injury. So he started to slow down a lot, but he was business-wise, he got better and better. So Dina decided to hire him for as a team manager. So he was not part of the three fill anymore. So this is when the three fill kind of faded apart as far as the marketing-wise. Like, and I was on my side, things were going really, really well. Like that here before I blew my knee, like I won X Games qualifier. I was contented to win X Game, like by far. Like I was on top of my game, like best half pipe skier, competing against the three. Like I was one of the 3 top half pipe skier. Each of us could have taken the win at the X Game at that point with CR and was it Kendi back then? Yeah, bro. That was
2002. It was all a mat. Like it was LaRose was the end of his reign. So you're a little mixed up right now because. Like, so you had an opportunity after Royalty to do Armada. And then before Dion fell off, you guys all got offered pro models, including Dion.
No. That's the Armada story.
Okay, I thought that's what he asked you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at. Like, so anyway, I was on top of my game. LaRose was also on top of his game. So it was less the three Phil. It was more like Phil Belanger, Phil Rose, and Phil Dion now being team manager. So we kind of stopped the three Phil branding a little bit. So this is when Armada, like actually JP, Jillian, Boyd, Iberg, O'Connell, me and Rose start talking. Let's create a new company. And actually those guys talking to us, we want to start something new, something different. Are you guys are willing to join us into that venture and starting that company. I was like, well, yes, like, I mean, the 3 fairs, we're done with it. So it's good time for us.
So put this in this day is the day after my first movie royalty premiere in Quebec City with the group he just named.
Yeah.
So it goes from like doing our first movie. So already we're like, woo, let's go do this shit. And I'm rolling with these guys all the time. And it's like, yo, I ain't making another movie. Let's go do this shit. And then we have this meeting the day after the world premiere in Quebec City of Royalty for Armada in fall of 2001. So I just want to put a time frame on it because it's fun.
Yeah. So had that meeting. So me and LaRose were like all into it. But at that point, we were making still good money with our respective sponsor. But like those guys knew from Solomon that we were going to cut budget. They knew Rossignol was going to cut budget. So what we all said is, let's fucking shoot for the moon, try to guess as much from our sponsor. And if they say yes, but then we'll stay with our sponsor. If they say no, but let's start that company. So each of us kind of did that. Like
this is a good point for the younger guys too, because like you guys were like, our sponsors aren't giving us enough. We're gonna ask for what we want, and if they don't give it to us, we're gonna do our own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, that's a good lesson.
Money already. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's very true. That's why you had that luxury of being able to have this relaxation feel at a young age, because like because you have to understand, like all the guys that left to create Armada, they were all making 6 fucking figures except Boyd, I think.
Yeah.
You know, so like the guys that did it had the opportunity, and this is end of 2001. So already you had dudes for 2 years in a sport that barely existed making 6 figures that were young 20s, late teens.
Yeah.
So it's very special, once again, just to give a little asterisk of the story, you know? But I do think that formula is right. Know what you're worth. And then if you really are worth that, go do it your fucking self if someone ain't giving it to you. But go on.
So me and LaRose were like, okay, perfect. Let's do that. Let's ask for let's say I was making 20,000. Let's ask for double our salary, so 40,000 plus pro model for a 3 years contract, like 40,000 each year for 3 years. And we're like, man, there's no way they're gonna accept that. Like at that point, we wanted to be with Armada. Like I wanted to be with those guys. Like I wanted to start that with them. It was like, as I say, the 3 fails were like, we knew like Dion was going to do more business side. I still wanted to ski as strong as possible as a peak of my career. So it's like, there's no way and they're going to accept it. So gave it to them maybe 1 month after, like Julian did the same thing with Rossignol. Boy did the same thing. And those guys from did the same with Solomon. All of the other company, they say, no, man, there's no way we can give you what you guys want. But fucking Dinosaur is like, well, yeah, guys, we'll do that, man. We'll give you that contract. You'll have a pro model for 2 years, and let's roll with us. I was like, oh, fuck.
Another asterisk in this conversation: JP and JF had pro models already with Solomon, and Julian had the first ever pro model, kind of other than Chris Osnes in our sport, with Rossignol. So they once again also had that luxury of what Dino Star was offering these guys. Solomon was also giving these guys 6 figures, where these guys were making 20,000 a year, where the guys they were beating were making 100,000 a year. So it was a really big deal for what the Phils got, you know, because like even though they got an investment, their investment wasn't as big as a lot of their Quebec counterparts.
Yeah,
meaning,
but they were also, those guys were more involved than me and LaRose, like O'Connell and GP and Julian. They were talking about that like a long time ago already. Like, you know, they were doing it no matter what. Like us, we got jumped in at the end, like more at the end of the process. We were more emotionally kind of like more involved. Like it was the beginning.
I think it was the beginning because it's like JP had the conversation with O'Connell a little earlier. And then I got involved with JP that summer while we were making Royalty. And then when I had my issues with the end of Royalty making, I was like, yo, JP, we're fucking doing this. And I was already talking to you at summer camps that summer about doing it. And so
yeah, but I remember the video, like those guys spend a little bit more time, like they presenting the video, like they.
I'm just saying at the beginning, man, like you were there. Like you were, you and the Rose were a year before Tanner existed. A year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know, and so I just want to make sure if someone's listening, like you were foundation, because even like the skis shop where we made the first prototypes that JP and Julian paid for was like pretty close to Phil's place in Quebec for Armada. So like there was a lot of, I mean, think about it. The first meeting ever for Armada was after premiere with the Phils in it in Quebec City.
Yeah.
So it's like as foundation as it gets of the company, man.
Yeah. No, definitely. And we got that picture, like I'm sure you guys have seen it, but that picture of all of us after that breakfast in that hotel room, in that meeting, the first ever meeting, we have that picture, all of us standing outside. It's pretty sick.
At La Dolphine.
Yes, at La Dolphine. So Dinosaur said yes. So like at that point, I think I signed for 40,000 US for just one company plus Phoenix, like a 30. Like I was making 100,000 US. I was like 19.
Dinosaur said yes to your request.
Yeah. So that's why we didn't go with Armada.
That's the LaRose ski. That's the Belanger ski.
Oh my God! I can't believe it worked. That's crazy.
Yeah, it worked for us. Yeah,
that's insane.
So it worked, and it was so much money. Like I couldn't say no. Like it actually, like now I'm being 42 and everything that I do, it's because of that I was able to be who I am now. Like being that, like let's say on 3 years, 80,000 or more, even more than that. Like it's too much money to just say no at that point. Like so a big thanks to Dinosaur of saying yes at that point. Like I would have another lifestyle, totally maybe a different life. But the path I choose, I don't regret it at all today. Like not even 1 ounce. So
to put this in perspective, because I'm going to take my pee break and then it's great transition to business. Because of the business decisions he made as a skier at age 21, he was able to create a film company and open a fucking retail physical ski shop because of the decisions he made financially as a skier without a fucking agent. So I'm going to start the conversation there. I'm going to actually just leave you with this background and I'll be back.
Can I take a peek quick?
Yeah, we'll take a break.
I'll take a peek. Fuck yeah, buddy.
Nice, dude. We're just talking plans. I think we might go up to Bridgeport. They're doing a rodeo. So after this.
Hey, have you been to the Ghost Town?
Oh, okay. Actually, it's so crazy that I didn't mention this at the beginning of the show, but the last time I was in Mammoth was the first show we did with A-Hall. So now we're on episode 14, so this shows how long I've been gone for. But no, I tried, when I was leaving Mammoth last time, I tried to go to the Ghost Town, but the road was closed. So it actually might be a good time to try it this time.
I got no photo book of us going to Bodie, me and the 3 Phils.
It's still alive, the Ghost Town?
I think it's still there. It's a state park, but I think the road was under construction or something last time I tried to go.
Oh, sick.
Yeah. Cool stuff, man. Mammoth is awesome.
He's at the hot springs right now. That's where he's at this moment.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Maybe I could show. Can you see out the window? Yeah.
That's
a little
sick.
bit. Yeah.
And man, how hot is it though?
Well, it's still pretty early in the morning, 10:30. So it was getting up there yesterday, but it's still so early that we're pretty comfortable right now. Yeah.
Well, where we were at,
we're business.
So I guess
this is my
transition into your business area, because I think what the most fun part about this conversation is, at such a young age, you were able to make these good financial moves, like be the top of your sport, but not just like go party, take a trip, take a holiday, do this, and you're like, man, let me start a retail shop, physical. So it's a little gnarlier than starting an online shop in 2024. And then the idea to make a ski movie out of 16 millimeter film, a little gnarlier than making one with digital videotapes or a little card. So how, I guess why? Because I guess when I talk with the younger guys, it's not even an idea that you would invest maybe over half of what you make as a salary to trying to make sure your future has a future. And I've always seen you put in maybe over half of what your earnings are towards what your passion is, because it's an investment in yourself, not an investment in the sport, but it's in what you love and what you do. So I'm curious now, I've never asked, but what was it that, I guess movies is easier, so we'll start there. First of all, what made you want to invest and start your own film company at a time when there's not a lot of outlets for films and movies?
But how Pléhouse started, like it was during the summer we had not much thing to do, like every other skier. Like we're either coaching a little bit and then spending all like August, September, November, like all the race season doing not much stuff. So we had that idea to start like to film ourselves during the winter, so during the summer we could produce the movie. Like that was easy. Like it was not easy, but it was different than what it is now. It's a 1 year project to do movies. So you film all winter, and during the summer you produce a movie and do a world premiere and then big party and sell the movies. So you could make a little bit of money and actually work during the summer. And especially that's when Thomas...
Did you have a formula to make money off a movie though? That's what I'm interested at such a young age, because even me, I didn't have one when I made my first one.
Yeah.
Or even almost.
At the beginning, it was since Thomas Rinfret jumped into our crew, and he was doing ski across a little bit, but he never really got into filming himself like only with Iberg, but a little bit with Johnny. But it was harder for him to get into the big movies because he was a racer for a long time, and this is a friend of mine that I grew up with, like my best friend. Like he was my best friend ever. So when he decided to switch to free skiing after being into racing for so long, we wanted to help him out to be with us and be with the crew. And he had a really, really good artistic vision, and he really loved the filming and photo and all that stuff. So it was like, he was the one like say, guys, let's start our own company. And LaRose was in the same boat. LaRose is really artistic person. He was always taking pictures. So those two guys together, they had a really, really good fit to actually showcase skiing into a different way. Like they wanted to get outside of the ski porn and all the clip, jump. And like they wanted to show the artistic ways of making movies with soundtrack that were totally different, with the angles, the visual, like everything that were different than what everybody else was doing in the industry back then. So that vision of Pléhouse, like this is those two guys that did it. My strength was on the marketing side of things. So and also on all the packaging and making the DVDs and all the marketing aspect of it. So I let them do all the artistic, all the scenarios, choosing like the trips that we were going to do, like the Lebanon tricks, like Iceland tricks, like places that nobody went and nobody think about going for skiing. Like those guys say, oh, let's try to go there and showcase showcase the lifestyle of that country, into a little bit of a free skiing. So it was totally different type of movies. Like,
have you ever seen any Pléhouse films, Ethan?
What are some of the titles of them? Because I'm not entirely sure if I have or not.
We did Exact Science, the first one, then Red Tape, then White Shine, Save.
I would have to go back and rewatch them because like
Thematic.
but like even watching, so like I rewatched Royalty recently, and it's like Royalty and I'm sure you guys have a different view of it, but like I look at like Josh Berman's first 3 movies, and like they all kind of look the same at the time, so it's hard for them to stand out for me because it's all kind of the same thing. And like we were talking about in a different episode, Iberg, like it's all from the same glaciers a lot of the time, and it's from the same summer shoots, so everything kind of.
The only thing that set royalty apart, because our competition was so minimum, was slow motion and perfection. So if you want,
Andrew had moguls in there too.
What's that?
Andrew had mogul shots in there too. That's what stood out to me.
Weed smoking.
Yeah.
And so like, but if you really look at it, the only thing that was different between MSP, Poor Boys, TGR Level 1 and Royalty was the idea that I shot 36 frames or 40 frames per second, and they shot like real time, which was like 24, 27 frames per second. And I had longer in runs and longer out runs. That was it. That was all. That movie was made in a day because I made that movie as a fan, not as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
And so like it was a big deal because I was in it like they were. And so like we just put it out where I said, wow, riding through the transition switch when you land a trick in a park mattered rather than reverting, or how you carved off takeoff, or not guy in the sky, scene distance. So that's the only thing, if you rewatch it now that I said that, you'll see that if you watch all 3 of those movies in 2001.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think if everybody that is listening wants to know what Pléhouse was, watch Red Tape. I think Red Tape is the best example of what we created, like with the Icelandic segment with Sarah, JF Ull, and La Rose and Thomas. And the whole movie is, I think it's one of the best one we've made. And so yeah, check out Red Tape.
I'm gonna watch that tonight.
I want to say too, like what they figured out too, because it's not a movie era right now. So everyone's just putting out shit. How did you're like, oh man, it was a different time era. But at the same time, something they realized in their business was they were Quebecers. They were showing Quebec, and they were having Quebecers travel the world. So it was a tourism kind of feature. They showed.
I was going to say, were you getting provincial money to get all these?
No, because we were traveling everywhere except Quebec, but no, it was for Thomas and Phil. It was actually showcasing all the new generation of Quebecers, and to make sure those guys were get coverage, we took the best gear also around the world. So having Candide and JF, like having, let's see, me and Phil Warren.
Maybe TJ. Vivi and TJ at the beginning.
Yeah, exactly. Like all I try to bring all the Canadian and all the Quebecers into the scene by mixing them with some of the best here in the world. Like it was kind of our this is what we wanted to create for with Pléhouse and for kind of the Quebecers.
You can say you really got no provincial money. I'm pretty sure there's a Quebec logo, and I'm pretty sure you showed it at schools.
Maybe at the end. Yeah, actually, maybe at the end of, but not the first 2 but maybe at the end.
They did, because he pitched the fucking environmental issue.
Yeah, exactly. With Save, yeah, maybe you're right. Yeah.
So I just
you guys know, and everybody knows, like Pléhouse was way much La Rose and Thomas. Like I was a little bit part of it, but during the summer I was editing segments. This is what I love. Like I was in the editing room all the time, doing all like the marketing. But I was still a lot with Iberg back then. I was shooting a lot with Johnny also. Like I took at that point I kind of took a solo mission a little bit more. Like when I moved with because I moved with Iberg and Sarah and Christy into Mammoth, like in 2003, 4.
1 and 2 we did our first year, and then me, you, Sarah, Rosie 2 and 3, and then back together like 4 and 5.
Yeah. So by being like I was not with La Rose and Dion anymore. Like those guys stay in Quebec because they had girlfriends, and he was more with Thomas. So I was starting to do my own thing a little bit more at that point, kind of. So
while he's doing his own thing, let's go back to business now. So what year did you start Destructure? in Quebec City?
2003.
So 2003 now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say 2003 is the first Playhouse movie, so you know, because you made 5. They went through 2007 with Save.
Yeah.
So 2003 is the first Playhouse movie. 2003 is also the first Destructure franchise ski shop.
Yeah.
That 22-year-old Phil Belanger thinks it's a great idea to also start while traveling the world, making movies. And I say this aloud because you can always do more. And it's baffling to me that you did this. You know,
what was your motive for making the ski shop? Because I could totally, you know, if you just want a place for your buddies to hang out and you have an office that's, you know, all your business deductions, that can make sense. But like, did you go into it being like, I want a very successful ski shop? Or was it something else?
No, but at the beginning, that the whole thing with Destructure, I was sponsored by them in 2000. Like the Destructure started in 2000 in Montreal with Danny, Felix, and Serge. They were like a bunch of rollerblader. And those guys, actually, Danny was in Texas when I did the show. I kind of replaced him. So I knew those guys like a long time ago already. So when they wanted to get into skiing, they started a really, really strong ski team with me, GP, like fucking Yannick, like every skier in Quebec.
And also Felix, to give him his props where he stood in skiing, because later he started IF3. Yeah. But with rollerblading, he was huge with Solomon. He brought the rollerbladers into the sport, like Yannick B, Nicky Adams, onto Solomon's skis, because they just skipped the ski boards with those guys. And then he was also a huge role in making videos in the early part of our sport. Like whether that was rollerblade videos, like Tursky, or even ski videos, edited half of my movie in 2002 after royalty. So Destructure, once again, Quebec Mecca. Like as far as doing more for the sport than you need to.
Yeah. Hey, and in rollerblade, Destructure was known all around the world already. Like because of Danny and Felix, as you say, like they were the 3 Phils of rollerblading, kind of like. Wow. They were on top of their game into rollerblade. They kind of not invented it, but almost, like those 2 guys.
No, to be passionate in 2002 about rollerblading and be successful enough to live, you're special. Because that sport died in 1996.
Yeah.
I have a question about... Actually, never mind. Yeah, let's continue on this because we had limited time. I was going to ask something about rollerblading, but forget
Do it. We have an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay. So the only rollerblading video I've ever seen is these dudes riding at this abandoned water park. Do you know what I'm talking about? Or is this just like this could have just been an online edit. But I remember when I was little... It was the only piece of rollerblading media I'd ever seen. It was like 4 or 5 dudes that broke into a water park that was like...
Okay, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It was so sick. So I wasn't sure where that played in the rollerblading world. But
I know they were like... The rollerblading movie back then were crazy, like crazy good. Like in 2003, 4, like those guys, like what they were doing, like... it was stupid. Like it was actually sick. Like it was. Well,
because really, then you see that trickle down to Stepped. Like Stepped later in their movies, they broke into a water park. They're riding, stuff that's abandoned. It's like it's all
the same shit as skiing, man. You're directional. You're going forward. We're not skateboarders.
It's all interconnected.
It's nobody's work. Like dude, the guy who edited my movies, Shane Nelson, he was the best rollerblade in the world in 95, 96. And like he made movies like art when he was a teenager, like once inline was bigger than skateboarding. So the idea of the inline idea, it's like our step sister or brother that no one accepts.
Yeah,
it's dope as fuck. We could have slope styles down every hill in every city in the summer with the best skiers, and they could have an alternative fucking source of fucking promoting themselves. But for some reason, because everyone, like even it's not next games, man. It's the craziest shit go on.
No, it is it's crazy that it's like the rejected stepchild. But but so many skiers rollerblade in the off season, but none of them want to admit it.
Without rollerblading, I'm nothing. I'm not where I'm at all. Like it's all of the mix of my skiing background with the rollerblade that made my free skiing career. But
I think it's too similar to figure skating. So like I think that's why it's not accepted, because it's like, oh, that's what the girls do on ice. What are you doing on rollerblades? You know?
So Destructure sponsored me 2000 up to 2003, and I got to meet those guys, and I got to know them well, and I always worked when I was younger. I worked in two shops. I love customer service. Like I was working first at a rollerblade shop, then a shoe store shop, and I was good at talking with people. I was like, fuck, I think I gotta jump on that, and I think this is what I'm gonna have to do later. Like I kind of
You worked at selling basketball shoes. Just so you know, I think it's a big point, right? You sold basketball shoes in an athletic store.
Shoes, yeah.
So the idea is a youth has an idea of selling something, right? Which is a passion. You love basketball as a youth.
Yeah.
You fucking gotta already have that basic idea as a 15, 16-year-old, whatever the fuck he was, while he was skiing. Like, oh man, you should get this. This shoe's so dope. Michael Jordan wears it. Now you get it translated to something you're overly passionate about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I think that's a fun.
Yeah, that was a no-brainer. So the whole, now we can merge back to the decision we made of keep going with Dinosaur instead of going with Armada. Like that, my business side of transition, this is when everything made so much sense. So what I did is with that the first 40,000 I got from Dinosaur, I invested into Destructure. Like I would have never been able to get share and started the shop with them in Quebec without that 40,000.
Did they ask you if you want a franchise, or because you're the first franchise of Destructure, or did you as a young kid be like, hey, can I open one up?
No, that's what they wanted me at first to be a franchise, but I didn't want to because I was still traveling so much. I was like, no, I want to be part of Destructure. So both stores were mine. Like I had 40% back then. Yeah, 40% of the whole company. It wasn't just Quebec City. It was also the Montreal store. And we just say, okay, we will open a store in Quebec, but I want to be part of the whole company. And so I was part of Destructure. Like I bought out some other people, and this is how we created.
Who advises you on business decisions at age 22 for 40,000 US, which is the equivalent to 65,000?
No, that was Canadian. 40 Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah. It was 40 Canadian.
I
mean, I think it was. I think I did it by myself then. By my dad, maybe a little bit, but he had no clue what the hell was going on. So
it's a lot of money, right? Like when we put it in perspective, like that's almost a kid's full salary now from all sponsors. So I'm just trying to like put it in perspective where how you're rationalizing what your bills are and how you just have 40G to go give out to something that you're passionate about.
Well, okay, that's actually a good question, because I think some of the younger kids would be like, oh, rent's so expensive these days, blah, blah, blah. I don't have that type of money. What, did you have huge expenses at the time? Like where were you living?
Oh, that's the thing. I was traveling so much that every time we were traveling, things were paid for. Like that's why I didn't want to stay home. Like when I was at home, I was staying at my parents' place because I was not there long enough. So I always wanted to be on the move somewhere, because when we were coaching, they were giving us free lodging. And when I was traveling, it was free lodging. So
all your money's in your
pocket. The rent that I had, it was in Mammoth. And we were so many of us that it was not even that expensive. Like
I'll put it in perspective. When we lived in Mammoth, say it was $1,000 a month or something.
Yeah.
We could get it down to $1,000 a month because Phil would be like, yo, let me just give you 12,000 up front. And then we'd all pay Phil and he would get us a discount.
Oh, so you pay the landlord a lump sum and then, yeah, okay, I see.
Yeah, and just be like,
but also they were not, no, but we couldn't get any, they didn't trust us at all, man.
No, they didn't, yeah, so that's why. For 20-year-old foreign people.
Yeah. I mean, at one point, man, Ethan, I had my bank manager had to call the landlord, telling him that I did have that money, and he was going to get it in the next 2 or 3 days. Just the wire transfer is going to take a little longer. But let's say I had to give him 20,000 or something. Like my bank manager had to call the landlord. Like at that point, it's like, man,
This was that spot that's at the base of where the village is now.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
So like there was no spot to get, like it was the best spot in town.
yeah.
And then
Listen, we would be having a very different podcast right now if instead of investing in skiing, you guys just invested in mammoth real estate.
if he would have bought that fucking place we live, he was offered it the first year. I think they offered it like 360,000. And Phil's like, yo, fuck you. And this is 2002, the base. It's the closest place to the gondola that goes up the mountain in the village now down low. I think I looked at it, it's worth 2.2 million today.
Yeah, this would be a real estate podcast, and you guys would just be like, "Oh God, what? Like the Mammoth is the best place ever."
Oh, Tanner.
But you know what? Though once again, with that move that I made with Dinosaur, this is what I did. Though my dad told me one thing one time. We went and had a beer because he saw all the money that I had, but he also saw how fast that money was coming out of my bank account. Because I always thought when I was younger that was not real. Like it happened so fast, and for me, it was just having so much fun. Like it was not a job. Like I couldn't understand how and why I was getting paid. I was like, man, why are those guys paying me, man? I'm just fucking traveling the world, having fun with my friends. It was not that pressure of the national team or the being good at contests. Like, fuck, if I wanted to do good, I was doing good. If that day I didn't feel like competing or doing good, man, fuck it. I was just gonna party that night and not do we were doing
the same age as Ed Joy.
Yeah,
when he's talking right now.
Yeah.
So even right now, he has more experiences than our oldest people at 26, like Alex Hall.
Yeah.
You know, like it's unrealistic concepts that come upon your life. To come upon low six figures at age 20 from something that doesn't exist.
So what was your dad? So what was your dad?
Yeah. So I'm not coming from a like super wealthy family. Like it's super standard. Like my life's always been standard. Going to school, like nothing was like being into Aspen or being into Breckenridge. Like I was not.
Are you making more than your father at this time?
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah. So my dad's like, okay, man. It's like you gotta fucking slow down. Like, and I know you will not. So the only way you'll slow down is to invest into a condo or an apartment or somewhere to live. Like, even if you don't live there, you just rent it, and you gotta do that. So I was like, yeah, fucking you're right. So I found like a sick spot right next to the water ramp, like next to the ski area where I'm born. Like it was a patch of little condos. It was super easy to rent with some of friends. Like it was perfect. So I put like another, let's say 40 or 60,000 cash down, boom, on that thing that was value 170. So I pay almost half upfront. So I had a super small loan. I was able to pay the loan with somebody that was renting the place with me when I was not there during the winter. So it was one guy watching my stuff, and one of my friend I think was paying $300 Canadian a month. Like it was nothing. And at least I had that. So having that, having the shop with the money that Dinosaur gave me, I knew I was able to actually do something out of my life since I didn't go to school. Like
did you guys own? Did the Destructure ownership? Did you guys own the actual buildings that the shop was in, or were those rented?
No, those were rented.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Because that would have been very sick if you guys had like the buildings and the business. But yeah, okay. Anyways.
Yeah. So at least now I was set. Like no matter what, my dad was like, okay, fine. If he fucked up like crazy, at least he's got that condo and it's gonna work. And the shop, like fuck, at least it's gonna give it. Because when I was working there, I was getting paid a little bit. Like I wasn't paying myself that much, but a little bit during the summer. So I was income. Even if I spend 40,000, I was maybe having 2 or 5, let's say 5,000 coming back to me by working there every year. So I was making back my money. So the whole plan was working great for the age I was, and the fact that I wanted to still skiing. You know, I didn't want to run the shop yet. Like so, I had a manager in Quebec City.
The shop when you opened the shop in Quebec City, who was running the shop?
It was at first we had Matthew, that was our partner that runs it, but it was Fred Larue, the first manager. I think was Fred. and then my friend Jeff, and then Matthew came in, and then
LaRue was that early, man. Big up Fred LaRue. I bet he.
and then Phil Lavallee came join in 2006 to being the real manager. So after that, that's when things got complicated. the dream kind of like life is not always a dream. So when in 2006 thing got a little harder with Destructure, when we opened Destructure International, that got involved fucking GP, Philou, La Rose. Like we opened a warehouse in Burlington.
Just to put this in perspective, so Felix had the big grand vision of, I'm going to make Destructure a franchise international. I'm going to open all these things. Got like the ski community had the back, right? And so like I'm interested to hear this story from your perspective because I've never heard of it. I just know a lot of people that put a lot of money into it. You know, so what?
Yeah, because what happened is we were still in the era of this sport is so sick. Everybody makes so much money. Like there's money into the sport. The media are at us. Like everything was so huge. But man, we had fucking 1.0.5% of the ski market. So there were no market of our sports. They were just hype and marketing. There was no market. We were not.
And it was an investment by a brand like Solomon, Rosnaldino Star to like we're the dancing monkeys for their brands.
Exactly. For them, it was marketing. So they were able to sell more shoes, more fucking like their regular line, like all of their other products. But like being is only rollerblade and free skiing shop, there was no market for that. Like the vision was great because the marketing was there, but there was no market. So when we started Destructure International and tried to open Europe, tried to open US, like with the rents, with all the employees, we were not making enough money. Like there was no way like the maths would add on. And we were so young and we were not really good business people at that point that nobody really realized that like, fuck guys, you need to sell at least 1.5 million to be able to run that kind of the shop that you want to run. And we had shops that were running 600,000 max, like, or 200,000 or 300,000. Quebec City, we were making 300,000 a year, man, and having the marketing for a $10 million company, like there was just no coalition between marketing and sell through, like the real thing. So, but everybody wanted to jump in because it was the hot stuff. Like you needed to be on Destructure, you needed to be investing in Destructure, and same with Armada actually at that point. So we did, so GP jumped in, Philo jumped in, Yannick, La Rose, like a bunch of people. They all put 5,000-10,000. So we bought product into the US. We had a warehouse in the US. We bought product to Europe. We had a warehouse in Europe, and we had one website, and it was Destructure International. You choose your region, and then you get the stuff shipped. So everything made sense, but we didn't sell any, like, and we had brick and mortar after that in San Francisco, like on 8th Street, like super huge rent, man, like crazy shop, man. It was such a sick shop, man, with heart and with
How long did that stay open for? There's no way that lasted long.
It did actually for at least almost 5 or 6 years.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, like the first 3 years.
Idea premiere there.
Yeah. Johnny Mosley came in, like he was there.
Of course, Mosley was there.
Yeah. But and the guy that run that shop, Ezekiel, was a really good, like, businessman. It's just there was no market, man. There was no fucking market for that sport yet. Like it was just marketing. So that, and after that, the Destructure SF switched into a art gallery, and actually worked great. And that shop is still there, and it's still doing great. There's no more skiing relevant, and I wonder if it's not. It might still be Destructure SF, like the name of it. Like I should check it out, but at least for 5 or 6 years we were with them. But after that, in 2007, like we were like up here, like fucking no more money, crazy. And I was the one that I had the more to lose because I had my house in Quebec, I had like other stuff, and my other investor had no money really, so they didn't really care. So I got confronted it to the walls, like fuck man, I'm gonna lose everything. Like now just my 40,000, but I could lose my house, I could lose like this is like getting crazy. So I got I just met my girlfriend, and his father was a really good accounting. So I got him into board. He looked at my books. He's like, man, you guys are, this is not working at all. So we decided, all of us, kind of to file for bankruptcy in 2007. And as I told those guys, like, you know what, like, this is really what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I love the shops. Like, I think I could learn, and I want to learn, and this is what I want to do. So I'm going to I'm going to try to buy out my bankruptcy, but I'm going to start it on my own after that. And said those guys were so fade out, and they were older than me, and they're like, yeah, that's fine, man. Like, just take it if you want. Like, it's okay. No worries. And anyway, they didn't have the money to put back. Like, cause I was losing 40,000, like my 40,000, we lost it in the first 5 years. Like, it was long gone. So I got my manager that was with me, Phil Lavallée, I needed to have a manager because I was still traveling. So it's like, you want to invest with me? He's like, yeah, man, for sure. Let's do that together. So how it works, like that kind of deal, like it's you file for bankruptcy, and then you can buy what's left of inventory, but it's envelope. Like, you all meet in a room with lawyers and people that deals with the bankruptcy, and they all a bunch of envelope, and the highest bidder gets it. So it's like, this is how it works. So there's people like you. It's like, you look at the newspaper in the morning. It's like, okay, Saturday there's a buy-in for Destructure. Fuck, okay, I'm gonna bet, like, let's say 5,000. You look at inventory, there's 100,000 left. It's like, hey, but those guys are betting super low. So what I did, as like my accountant is like, man, if you want to really get it, you gotta bid a little higher. So, and what was gonna do by doing that, I was able also to pay the other partners like money that they will lose, because all that money goes back to paying everybody else, and then what's left, it's gone. So I bid high enough, so I was able to buy back Destructure. So I bought it back in 2007, and now it was mine with Phil Lavallée at that point. So we were the two of us. And we started super slow, like a small spot. I moved everything, and I went 2007 to maybe 2000, almost 17, 20, without making.
Do this, Phil. I want to do a timeout and pee, and then we'll have our last 55 minutes, because 2007, I didn't realize how gnarly it is. So I got a lot of 2007 questions right when I come back in 55 seconds.
All right. I'm saying, unless Phil, you got to go to the bathroom. Old man problem.
No, I'm good.
Yeah. Well, I think that like you brought up a good lesson for people, because I'm sure there's going to be some younger skiers that listen and being like, oh man, well, I'm not getting paid this much. Like, that opportunity's gone. But like you just said, even with all the opportunities you had, like, you still encounter real life barriers that you still have to push through. You know, it's not just a walk down easy street just because you got some money when you were young. Like, you had to go through the whole bankruptcy process and then still come out the other side and then still build it back up from there. So I'm sure we're gonna get into that more, but just I think it's a good point of the story. Like, it wasn't all easy.
No, and it's at some point, yeah, when you make that money, like, somebody's gotta make you realize, man, like, this is not real. Like, this is not real money. Like, because the thing that's kind of sad of what we do, we accept experience. If you get into business, or if you get into filming, or if you get into something else than just skiing, then you're learning something. But if you only skiing during that time of your life, like let's say 6-7 years, but you don't go to school during that, you're not getting any experience in anything else than skiing, and the value of somebody 7 years of life, like if you're not learning nothing else than just one thing, like it can follow you up for a long time after that. So yeah, all those young kids there that just focusing so much on it's fun. I'm skiing. Like if they just do that and don't get to learn either, filming or reading books or fucking learning about something else, like outside of skiing, like you need to do something like that, because just focusing on just skiing, like when you gonna wake up 10 years after, it's like, man, fuck, where I'm at now, and shit, man, what can I do? What are my forces? Like, what else can I do except skiing? Like, it's hard to.
Well, Iberg wasn't. I think Alex Hall was doing online classes at U of U, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So there's
No, but I think
you have to have something else.
That's an easy. I think it's an easy out when you're on a U.S. team because it's free.
True.
So
Yeah. I forgot it was paid for.
Parent that's supportive and you're doing what you do, like you're kind of really stupid if you don't take free online classes when you have downtime.
Yeah.
So the difference is, I think I didn't hear what you guys said before, but like it's actually applying, because like what he was doing, what he was applying real life by learning a trick and failing, crashing, hurting himself. He was applying by starting a ski shop, by crashing and hurting himself. He was applying by creating a movie, crashing, hurting. All these things were crashes, and so I think that's what a lot of people aren't willing to fail as much, and it's not an idea. We never thought we'd fail. Everything we did, like, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Phil, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but when you started a ski shop or your ski movies or whatever it was that you've ever done, there's not like a thought like this could fail. It's like you go and you do it and you go, oh shit. And then you meet your wife's dad and he's like, you're retarded. And
like,
everything.
Yes. I always, everything that I do, I think it's gonna work. But that's one thing that somebody told me once. Like, the key to success is a hard work. There's nothing else. If you work hard for real at something and you put the time and energy and effort, man, if it doesn't success, it's because it's bad luck and fuck shit happens sometimes, but it's rarely like that. And you need to have a good accounting. You need to be able to count. Like, at some point you need to be able to count. But if you work so hard, like, maybe if you don't know how to count, like, he'll help. But if you know how to count and you work super hard, man, it's rarely it will fail. Rarely it will fail, man.
Also, I want to say this too. The Destructure shop on Haight Street closed in 2016 because it was going well, and then the building got bought before they could sign a lease with the old owners. So the new owners came in and they're like, fucking new lease and like triple the price. So they just closed up shop. Yeah.
We learned all that right now.
Yeah, I looked it up. I just looked up Destructure SF, and there's the first article. It says.
So it's Destructure SF now. The name of it.
It was DSF Clothing Company and Art Gallery.
Yeah. No, it was a sick shop, man. Really, really, really sick shop, actually. Yeah.
Oh, 2007. I want to go here because we got 50 minutes. I just realized how gnarly it is.
So just so kids know, it's like, okay, when was pandemic?
2020.
2020. 13 years after 2007.
No, we started 2020, 2020 the pandemic? 22?
Yeah.
I'm talking about 2007 right now.
Yeah, I know, but between 2007 and 2000...
March 2020.
Yeah, just right. 2020.
That area, like, Destructure was doing well, but we were growing, like, slowly, like, every year making a little bit of money, but not really. Like, I didn't make really money, like, until the pandemic hits. Like, the year before that, maybe I got a little profit, like, out of the shop. But like, people think that it was easy or it's such a big shop. Like, once again, I'm 1.001% of the ski market in the world. Like, because I always kept the focus of being a free skiing shop, like only free skiing, never snowboard, never like alpine, or like never moms and dad skis. Like, we got into touring. We got lucky because touring got a little bigger in Quebec, and I got into backcountry. So like all that aspects of skiing, but it always was free skiing kind of scene. So it was, that's why there's no other Destructure in the world. Like, it's not a real sustainable company, as you say that. Like, It's so
you do so much more, and we'll get into it, like, because after this, but I just want to get over this hump, because like what you do more is why you're self-sustainable.
exactly. That's where I was going at, actually. So
But 2007, Felix, who started Destructure, started IF3 in 2007. When I just went to P, I was like, holy shit, that was that year. That was Idea. That was Believe. That was Save. Crazy fucking year. So then I was thinking too, I was like, whoa, where's Phil Belanger in 2007? I'm like, I think maybe he just got dropped by Dina Star. Or maybe 2 years
I was already been dropped, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think you were
back
2006, I think, was your last Dina Star year.
Okay. So yeah.
And so you're on your first non-Dina Star year. So your first non-Dina Star year after getting banged, and I'm guessing it got dropped a lot when you went to Liberty or Ninth Ward or whoever your first selection was. Ninth Ward. Phil Belanger was Ninth Ward ski represent. Even like got all get check it out if you can find it.
Oh, we were doing that? Like, what was it? The tree?
I don't know, but it was and so I'm just thinking it's got to be maybe now that I think about it, your biggest transitional year, right? You meet your chick, like you are on your last year of Playhouse. You're in your first year of taking over an individual idea that's not a franchise anymore. Like with a ski, where the fuck are you in that year? You know, like, is it a crazy year for you, like in real life, or like I'm just looking back now? I've never added this up as your friend forever, but that's a lot of fucking shit on someone's shoulders in 1 year.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah.
But you're Alex Halsey.
Yeah. But since I had the condo, like, yes, I didn't lose my house. Yes, I lost the 40,000 that I invest, and like I need to put another, let's say, 20,000 to buy back my bankruptcy. But I still had a place to live, pretty much free, like not expensive at all. So I was still okay. I was still able to get through, and but I was still judging. Like, this is when I was judging, so I was not getting paid much, but at least I had that sideline.
Are you a pro skier anymore after Save? You're the last Playhouse movie.
No, I was not. I didn't get like the thing is when, but you know the story Nightward, they were supposed to give me $9,000 as a contract for the first year. Those fuckers never paid me, so I was like, really, ain't Campbell? Like it was Campbell, so it's like, oh no, man, no. It's like, but I always call it, like always talking, next year, man, next month, this, nah. So it lasts for like 3 years, and at some point I had the shop back then, so I was like, oh man, like talk to the sale rep, like kind of went beyond the side. Is like, oh well, I'll buy some skis for Destructure. It's like, okay, well, can you pay? It's like, no, just ship me skis, man. I'll pay you when I sell them. So I got like for $9,000, something like that, skis. Got shit, and you know what happened? So I called Cameron. Like, you know what? I got those skis. You know, I'm not gonna pay them. You know, I think we just call it quit and we good like that. And I don't even think he responded, but we're all just like, okay, fuck it. So at least
that's awesome.
I made my money back ahead of that. And
fuck yeah, you did. Like that's the best way of ever getting your money back from someone that didn't pay you I ever heard of.
Yeah, exactly. I told you that story, ever? No? Yeah, you know that. So yeah, so after that, like I was like, well, I'm done. Like Phoenix was over already. Smith was done. So all my sponsors were out, like maybe in 2008 or 9. Like I had no more sponsor.
And was that because you got worse at skiing, or because those companies shifted their focus? Was it like an Orage situation where they dropped their whole team because they were done with free skiing?
No, it was all my fault. Like I got so much injuries. Like I got both of my knees. Like at that point in 2008 or in 2007, yeah, after Save, I just did my other knee, broke my back, dislocated my shoulders. I was done. Like I got into it. I will always remember that day. I still wanted to compete after my second knee, so I went into January in Calgary by myself, staying at one of my friends' place. I was like, okay, I'm going to go train pipe. I'm coming back. Like, let's fucking do that. Like, it was starting to be the World Cup and being like World Championships. Like, I got a shot.
Calgary.
Yeah. I don't think you knew that story.
No, I don't. This is awesome. Who did you go to Calgary with?
Martin. It was. You don't even know. It's a friend of mine from my city. Like, he was working then into oil company. Like
This is after Save.
yeah, or maybe the December of Save.
Right.
The same here.
You're coming back in a half pipe mission, 2007 and 8.
Yeah. So going, so starting to do a lap like the first 2 days, get used to it, blah blah. So got some good hair, like got my feelings back. So like I'm at the top of the pipe. I was like, man, if you want to do that, it's now. Like you just gotta go and start training for real, man. Like I'm telling myself that. And I sat down. It's like, man, shit, do I really want to do that? It's like, and for the maybe 2 hours, man, I'm on top of the pipe. And I was like, man, fuck it, man. I'm over, man. I don't want to do that anymore. This is not worth it, man. I don't want to crash. I'm scared. Like, yeah, that's it, man. I was like, fuck, that's it. Over, done. So I went back home with my friends, got fucking wasted that night, and came back home like 2 days after. And I was like, yeah, that's it, man. Like it was.
That's crazy. So that's your official last day of. That's your retirement.
Retirement. Yeah.
That's the letter that people send.
Dude, I didn't do a press release. I'm sorry. Fuck, I missed on that one. But yeah,
sucks, man. That's the craziest, awesome story ever.
Yeah. So, and then as soon as into where we were at, but actually, no, all those athletes now where the sport's at. Like, if you reach that point, like. There's no, you gotta stop. Like there's no coming back. Like if mentally you're not there, it's too scary, it's too dangerous. Like you gotta stop. So I'm really stoked that I didn't keep going just by vanity or just because this is once again because this is not the only thing I had in life. Like I built my future up to that. So it's like fuck, I got something else. Like if I keep going, I might just lose everything else. Like the skiing part, like skiing hard is over there, but my skiing career, it's not done. It's just the beginning of a new era. And I was building that like the past 5 years or 6 years before that.
So think about this too. When that happens, Ethan,
Yeah.
he cannot, even though his film company's done, he gets to have a ski shop that he gets to be as stoked about skiing every day on. And he also, whenever he's injured at this time period, you're invited to be a judge at X Games. So you go to X Games even when you're injured. So you really are in a small niche world if you have other outlets all the time. And he has two big
I didn't want to quit. Like as I told you, I didn't want to leave that. I was born for that. Like, so I needed all the opportunity that was gave it to me. I was taking them. Like, you want to go judge? You want to go? Like, sometimes I was coaching kids in freaking New England. Like I was driving from my house like 7 hours for 1 day of water ram because it's you want to coach that team or you want to judge that water ram contest? Yes, I'm in Lake Placid. I'm going to Lake Placid for a day. Like every opportunity, I gotta say yes to it because this is what I wanted to do.
But I want to build his character a little bit to make sure it's not only about holding on to an opportunity. When we first moved to Mammoth and he was the largest skier in the world in 2001 and Sarah was the largest, they still coached the Mammoth freeride team. Right? So like, it wasn't like, hey, I just give me a free ticket. I want to shred every day. They're like, okay, this is what I can do. I'm just going to go do that because then I do get a free ticket because it's actually known in your life growing up that you actually have to do something for something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a very rare thing. I think it's an older person thing, but it's always you have to do something for something. You can never say
you can't just get free shit because you're sick. I think another thing that I think is important for the new heads to know, listening to your story. First of all, you cashed away some money with that condo, so you guaranteed you would never be homeless, which is huge. You have a fortress that you could always return to, but also you have all these relationships because you're a good guy. So like when you're done being the shit, you could turn around and be like, all right, guys, what's next? And you have friends, so they look out for you. But if you're just this guy that's at the top of his game and you're like, fuck you, no one can tell me anything. Well, when you're not at the top of your game anymore, no one wants to help you out. So I think that's another important thing for that the guys that are going to have to transition out of being professionals at some point is like make some
Oh
friends.
yeah,
along the way,
I always told everybody you meet people during the daytime, you make relation at nighttime. Like you make relation in the bar. This is when, and that was my strength. A bit more than the rose because I was really really shy. Like my strength was always following Iberg. Like by just meeting Iberg, like I could have been like, oh man, I don't know, I didn't speak a word of English. Like I didn't know him at all, but I trusted him. I was like, he seems like a nice guy, and we have the same philosophy. Let's fucking just go. And then I went with him to Mammoth. Same with Sarah, like meeting a girl from Ontario. Like I didn't speak a word of English, and being my girlfriend for a couple of years. Like relations are the base of your future. Yeah, this is where the
Wait, did you have a girlfriend that you guys didn't even speak the same language? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, Sarah Berg. Yeah, Sarah. Like
so you didn't even speak English, and you were dating her for 3 years, not even speaking the same language as her.
At the beginning,
Canada's a bilingual country, man.
She thought I was so cute. No, that was the everybody was like, French Canadian are so stupid, but they sound so cute. And we were getting girls like all the time because of that. We were so stupid, but we sounded so cute. So this is kind of the running gag.
That's like they just sound like they'd be like, you're so beautiful. Can I kiss you? You imagine saying you're beautiful, I want to kiss you, and then you kill it. These guys could say that to anyone. And I just watch it and be like, oh my God, the girls would giggle and then they'd kiss them.
Damn, dude. That's crazy.
Here's my best story about these guys. We went to Hooters in the Mall of America. Like one of the first times I met them, and they brought their video camera. And we just sat, I'd never been to Hooters before, and they were all stoked on Mall of America. And I just remember one of them, I don't know who it was. I won't out of the three of you guys, but you guys just filmed the Hooters girls the whole time. It's one of my best memories. I think of Hooters every time you guys.
Just these French Canadians pointing a camera at these waitresses.
If the girl comes up, it's not creepy when they go blah 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 blah.
Yeah, it was easy back then. Yeah, it was easy. But yeah, so where we were at, Destructure.
We were talking about all the opportunities you had, just trying to make it work when you were getting hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And by meeting people, once again, why I got into Destructure, because I was always with those guys, always asking questions. Why I got into judging the World Cup and finally being the head judge at the Olympics, because I always got a little bit more involved than just being that guy that sit down and wait until things happen, like
AFP, right? We talked a lot with Josh Christensen about AFP points and how that was a big deal about placing at the time for sponsorship dollars. Phil was a big part at the beginning because of the creation of the point stuff, talking with these guys, being part of the events. So even that element that those kids like Josh and Gus Kenworthy were getting paid off of, he was putting his time in to be the athlete that actually had the knowledge.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of behind the scenes shit that he did at this time.
And after I just quit it 2 months ago, but we were on a board. I was on a board of advisory for the world, like for all the World Cup and all the. There was a committee. It's the judging advisory group. So we're 5 snowboarder, 5 skiers in the world. And we tried, let's say the section by section, that's kind of us then implementing it. And we try to make sure all the new rules into the FIS, ready to what we want it to be. So I was on that for 6 or 7 years, but the last 3 years I didn't got enough involved. So I decided this year to quit, but Jason is on it now, and a bunch of other skier from around the world. But so always now I can say that I'm not involved into that aspect of judging anymore. All that I'm done. But all the competitive size now, I'm producing NORAMs and actually a World Cup this year at Stoneham. So So yeah.
What do you mean by the producing side? Like, are you running the event or are you doing the broadcast side?
I'm running events.
Okay.
So what I did after was, let's get on with Destructure.
Yeah.
So in 2007, I'm done with skiing. I only do judging, and I start like a school program at school. So that way I'm able to get a little bit of money from judging, a little bit of money from the school program, and I can pay myself a little bit from Destructure because there's no way.
What's your school program that you create as a 27-year-old in Quebec?
But the school program with all the kids, like a concentration at a high school. You remember,
It's people that are listening do not remember anything.
Oh, okay. So I started that even before. I think I started that in 2005 or something.
So
So
2005, Phil is 24. I want to put this in perspective. We have old head, new head things, so to show how diversified he is. When he's 24, he's starting a school program to teach the sport of skiing that has only existed for 5 years. Continue.
yeah. So because I wanted that school had the program, it was for moguls. I wanted the kids to know what our sport was. So I said to the teachers, like, let me start it with you guys. So I started it, and then like Paul Bergeron come from that school program, Emile Bergeron comes from that school program, Jacob Belanger come from that school program. Like it's something that I've maybe in the last, it's still going on now, but we maybe introduced free skiing to 2 or 3 or 5,000 kids, like in Quebec region, just the little like Beauport regions, because that was just one little school here in Lake B. So on over the past 15 years. So
that's not a freestyle team. That's just kids getting to interact like in a gym class.
Yeah.
So they go on the hill. I say, what I did with them is 3 times a week. Like on our school days, the afternoon, they were coming skiing with us at the relay. So we were teaching them rails and jumps, and during the morning, they were doing the school. It was not it's a program. It's not a sports and study. Like it's not to go on to a team it's just to introduce them into free skiing. Like that's it. That's all. Like
going bowling in your gym class. Phil gets to teach you how to slide a rail.
Yeah. So that's why we got so many kids coming out of Quebec after that. Like all of those kids came to our school program that we did it. And after that, by creating that mini skier in that area of time, like after 6 or 7 years, so I had that mass of like 2,000 or 3,000 skier that were gravitating around like Destructure on the school program. And so we started to do some event like the D-Jam. So we're going through all the Quebec region and introducing what we were doing to those hills. And this is how Phil Casvon came in. Like we went to Shawinigan, he was there, we saw him, was like, man, you're fucking good. Let's come with us. And like every region we were going, we were capturing those 6 or 7 athletes that were actually super good and brought into our teams. And
so it's like they know these guys when they're 11.
Yeah.
So he has a school program. Introduce you. Hey, it's a fun sport. He has a ski shop. Oh, I like that sport. I should buy product. Oh, you want to participate in that sport? I have a contest series called the D-Jam.
So I call it 360 marketing. So I was creating my own marketing to be able to survive doing all my stuff. So my ski program was able to survive because they were able to buy product at the shop and they were able to do contests if they wanted to do. And so their circle was working super good. So after because the jam was only jam, like it was not enough competition. It was just.
But even at the same time, 2009, we start D-Splash.
Exactly.
A trampoline camp. Yeah. So now kids have more D-Splash, Destructure, more access to the sport. What's it relate to? Phil Belanger. So it's like there's a million of these things that he does. But continue.
So after the DJ, I was like, okay, now I'm missing the club. Like I have all those kids that wants to do more, but they don't have coaches or they it's always fun. Like everything was just for fun and filming and editing. And so, okay, I got to start my own club. So we started Union Ski Club. So the Union Ski Club. So now I had my club, I had my ski program, I had the shop, I had the D Jam. So I was missing the real contesting. So we started at the beginning. We started Summit Freeski Tour. So I had this.
So let's put this in perspective. So now you have a summer camp, you have a winter tour, you have a school program that's like a gym class. You have all this stuff before 2014.
Yeah, but every year, yeah. I mean,
I get it, but I'm saying he's doing all this, and at the same time, he's still involved internationally at the highest level because he's judging X Games. He's now going the head judge at the 2014 inaugural Olympic Games in slopestyle and halfpipe. So he has his local idea, but he's an international superstar foundation from our sport, but keeping his relevance. You know, like, because everyone, when he shows up, it's like, that's Phil Bellin. Everyone knows who he is. They're equal. It's like if Tanner shows up.
But I'm involved. Like, I actually do coach kids that are 13. Like, I'm there on the hill coaching them, and they see me the next day on TV because I'm talking about going to the Olympics. So everybody they all come back to me at the shop because they know that I'm doing it for the right reasons. So the community that I got around the shop is so solid. They're so, like, they follow me so much that I'm super lucky, actually. Like, it's the best thing that I have. And I tell them all the time, it's like, man, why is like that? It's like, because every time you enter to my shop, it's like, I'm inviting you to dinner. Like, for me, it's, since nothing was granted, like, it's, again, having the shop, it's still, man, you're coming to my house, man, come in, please. Like, what do you want to buy? Like, it's yeah, you're coming into my home, kind of. So this tangent, but coming back. So we were missing the tour. So I started the Summit Freeski Tour with Jay and Guillaume and Warren, my other partner. So now we had the tour, we had the club, like, we got everything to be like all by our own, and making sure kids can just start the sport with us. If they want to only just have fun, they can just go have fun. If they want to be a bit more competitive, they can go on the competitive side. And so everything was perfectly locked and everything was perfectly done. So that was maybe 2017. Like, the whole thing was rounded up. So it's like, okay, fuck, what's next then? Like, I've touched pretty much everything. So, okay, now we're missing a higher event. So the really, really good kids can just show the rest of the world that they are really, really good. So we started to do a NORAM last 5 years. So we've been having the final NORAM tour at it was used to be at Loretta. Now it's been at Stoneham for the last 3 years. So this is once again with Jay and with Guillaume. Like, we've created that the Step Up tour. So Step Up goes up to the next step. So that's how we called it. And we have 4 regional tour around Quebec region, and the last stop is the NORAM. That's when all the American and Canadian meet there and do that event. So
they create the regional now for 5 years at the high end, and then it adds a NORAM in, which is the next high end. So it's 4 events, and then a NORAM, which is North American World Cup. 5 years of that now, potentially, and pretty sure that there's a World Cup, full World Cup at Stoneham in Quebec in February next year in 2025. So what I want to say on this, man, like, I think where Phil killed it, if you listen to the ground base from the schools in the mid 2000s, like, and then going slowly and building it, we did a lot of stuff in the early 2010s where it was all about saying, look at how dope this superstar is. So we had invitationals. These are not sufficient for the sport. It's just giving an egotistical platform. And if we would have done certain elements, and all those superstars we brought to invitationals built certain platforms like Phil did in their regions, it would be fucked up where we would be right now. It would be a self-sustainable sport. So, yeah, I guess that's my giving flowers to you, because it is a long term, you know, like we just talked about 17 years of building something to a World Cup. but then also how many people he produced in the sport through all those different programs is fucked up.
And they all did some stuff too, like let's say by Casabon and fucking JF, like all of those guys, like
EBM,
EBM, yeah.
fucking, we can go. I mean, everyone on the Destructure program, and then you go to the Step Up tour that more the young guys know. You know, like there's the young. You guys have those names now. If you were to say your top 3 at your Step Ups, it's a common name now.
Yeah. No. So it's a great school, kind of, I guess. Like I call it I lecture some of my employees sometimes. Like, hey, sit down here for 5 minutes, man. I'm gonna learn. You're gonna go to Belanger school for a couple hours, and then we're just talking.
5 minutes is
They
not
all,
hours.
yeah, they all a lot. Because since I don't. It's weird to say, but I pretty humble. Like I don't like to show what I do, or like I just do. I do and see what I do, and this is what I do, kind of. So they think it's easy, and like it's. But when I make them realize, no, man, there's sometimes it's been hard as fuck, and every morning, every time, every phone call, every time you said yes, like it has implication. There's something will happen, like you're gonna lose time for other stuff, and like just mixing everything to make sure like you're not losing tracks on something or doing something that is too much at one point, like making sure if you said yes, I'm going to go through my word, and my words, like I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I respect my word, kind of. So this is something that puts a lot of pressure on me, but nobody sees it really. But fuck, every night, man, it's like, man, why did I say yes to that, man? Fuck, man. But fuck, I got to do it. Got to do it.
That was him last night when he's like, "Fuck, I gotta talk to these guys for 3 hours tomorrow." Why did I agree to that?
Oh, man, this is the shit. Like, this is the funnest part about the whole thing. You actually get to talk about what you do and not just do it. Yeah. Like, he's not working right now for 3 hours. Like, it's such a privilege and such an awesome thing. I mean, your answer, man.
Especially on a Friday, like it's kind of chill. It's perfect.
Sick.
So,
wow. You bring up a good point with that, Iberg. Like, if everyone, instead of doing an invitational where they hang out with the same guys they're hanging out with year-round anyways, and they're all just patting each other on the back, if everyone did what Phil did, you would have a way bigger ski market. It'd be crazy.
It's a lot easier, man, to bring in all those people from all over the world, pay for their lodging, their food, their transportation, give them a big paycheck so you can justify them to come. Fucking put it on TV because you need to say you're this big, that we give you that big a platform.
Yeah.
And all those guys have that ability to do it. Just one out of whoever creates the invitational invites other guys that are as big as an invitational level person. So it's just like, I always looked at it like that, where I was like, whoa, man, if Tanner's in Montana, he locked down Montana scene. If Phil's in Quebec, Casabon, and he's doing what he can do with Phil. You don't need to go anywhere else.
Because I think it should be mended glory, man. We should it's just by respect, man. You need to give back a little bit, man. You have to at some point if you're big. Like, just tell yourself, okay, 5 days during my winter, I'll call my ski area where I'm born and raised. I'll call them up because some of them I can understand. Not of all the Akis are business people, and this is totally, it's normal and it's okay. But to take the phone and call your ski hill, say, okay, can you organize something? I'll be there at 8 o'clock at the bottom of my chairlift. Try to get as many kids as possible. I want to show them what is our sports and why am I in the top of the world. I think if every athlete would just do 5 days per season, man, our sports will just fucking be crazy, man. Because this is how you get kids. It's one day. It takes only 1 hour, one look. Once, hey, man, that was sick, the rail you did. Just one comment, man.
Well, that's like the whole Tell a Friend tour with Andy Perry. I mean, how many kids do you think he's stoked over the past probably decade of doing it? Just go into their hill. We were talking about the BNE tour with Phil Casabon. Like, just go into these places and show. I said it on the Phil Casabon show too. When you see a pro hit the same rail that you hit every day, but they do it in their way, it blows your mind. Like even just that is enough.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hope more and more younger kids. Like I'm trying to teach them, like the younger kids now, Dylan Deschamps, Jeremy Gagné, like all the kids that are on the national team that are part of Destructure. Like I try to tell them, go, and we try to do it, but it's still hard. Like it's still like Dylan Deschamps this year is the first time come out to me. Phil, I want to do it. I understand what you mean by that. I see the difference. Like organize me fucking something with kids. I want to do it. So we did it, and he loved it because it's also fun for the athletes. Like he's like, man, those kids know me, and shit, that's cool, man. So yeah, we need more.
Like it's the best thing in the world. It's like when you make, because I mean that's all I do with Phil and Henrik, right? Is I tell them what to do. And so a lot of this is to go make them interact with kids. And it's like always the biggest self-fulfilling thing once some kid looks up to you like you're a god.
Yeah.
Because really, if you're really good, you're not thinking yourself as a god. You're just thankful you didn't die yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So,
wow.
We got Ethan.
Let's see. I'm just looking at my list.
Great with our time. It's just wrapping up kind of great.
I know. I think we covered so much good stuff. I'd say like what's the next evolution of what you're doing? Because it seems like it keeps on building upon itself. So how do you even take this and bring it somewhere else?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a question I've been asking myself. Like, but as I said, like the World Cup thing, I think I'm doing it just to put a stamp on it. Like, why not? Like, I'm there already, man. Like, let's just wrap that thing up. So as far as contests and all that side of thing will be done with Destructure, like I'm trying to figure out where I want to go with it, because I know as far as brick and mortar, like the shop in Quebec will grow a little bit, but cannot grow much higher. So I think I'm going to try to get more involved into maybe the online store, like just try to see how can people know more around the world, what we do and who we are. And because as soon as people know, like doing that kind of podcast and really the foundation of Destructure, like there's no reason if you're free skier that love the sport that you're not buying product from us. Like
there's no reason people should buy from Evo when a store like yours exists that provides the exact same service.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So I would like to people know what I give back. Why am I there? Is because I always give back to the whole aspect of the sport, and I will keep doing that. More people will buy in, more program. There will be maybe more kids I will be able to help also. Like this is kind of what I would like to do. It's now with the sponsor, it's so hard. Like they don't get money, and every year is the same thing. The parents and the athletes come to me. It's like, Phil, can you help me with the sponsors? Like, man, there's no more money. It's over. And I told them, get regional, get local, go to your grocery store, go to your gas station. Those guys will give you money and do work with people in your region. But that's it. So if I could start something like a foundation so I can help them out, like this is something I would really like to do in the next step, like get some money to help like the new athletes coming up.
I got a different question. So because you can only do so much in your career, is there any business idea that you had that you never executed on, but you always wonder, like look back and be like, damn, it would have been cool, you know, like start a goggle company or something like that? Like, is there anything that you just didn't pursue that you kind of look back on and wonder what could have been?
Yeah, I really, because I like events so much. I like when the days are not the same. So doing a Windels camp, like I love doing the water ramp thing with Iberg. The D-Splash was my best summer ever. And now my partner has he has a bike club during the summer, and he's got the ski club with me during the winter. So having like a Windels, and I'm trying to build it. So it's
quick intervention in 2001. The Phils had a summer camp right above Windels called Camp Revolution, which had exclusive pipe and jumps and moguls. So he's been involved in that level of camps as well since he was 19 and running camps. But go on.
Oh yeah, the D-Stack. So what we're building now, it's called the Step Up Park. So it'll be at Stoneham with a huge airbag, like 24 head to a four-season facility. Like during the winter, this is where the World Cup will be at, and there's going to be a airbag. And then the summer, we're going to have a huge airbag, like in Australia. Like this is like something that I always wanted to do. And then we're actually kind of doing it a bit, but I don't know like what my role would be because I got so much. Because now I got bike shops too. Like I got two bike shops that are running really, really well during the summer. Actually, really, really, really well. So yeah, I gotta.
What's next is the big facility at Stoneyham year round.
What's that?
The next big project potentially is the Stoneyham.
Yeah, Step Up Park.
Yeah.
And it will happen. You know me, even if I say no.
Well, dude, yeah, this is blowing my mind because Ibert, for you, this is like someone that you've seen. Like this is like if I saw Alex Hall grow up and do all this stuff, you know. But Phil, no offense, I just view you as an old guy that runs all these businesses now. But it's cool learning the history. But that's like the bridge that bridges us all together. Like the new guys will see you as the old man that's already established and has all his businesses, but what you really are is like the athletes that everyone sees today. Like the balloons are. I don't know how that happened, but you had balloons all around.
Celebration of Phil.
But yeah, it was. It's just like anyone that has a platform right now that's an athlete could become you in 30 years, and then the new heads in 30 years will be like Alex Hall. Oh, the dude that owns that summer camp. What the fuck are you talking about? How sick he was. So yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. He's
a worker, and the whole point of this show, everyone we talk to does more. That's it.
Yeah.
Theme of this whole show. Like everyone has opportunities. He has a million opportunities. He goes to sleep every night thinking about how many opportunities he doesn't take advantage of. And he has to manage that. And that's the difference between now, say the younger kids are not trying to manage what opportunities they don't want to do because they can't do it all. They're not seeing them all. So it's just do more.
And I think the best advice I give everybody is to be humble. What kills you is vanity. Like as soon as you think you're somebody else and you're better than someone, you're done. You're done. Like no matter what, it's never going to bring you anywhere. As soon as you put yourself just not lower, but wanted to learn about somebody, even if you think is wrong, just listen to him. You learn so much, man. There's no way you can fail, man. If you just always put yourself at the same level as everybody, or even lower, and just listen, man. It's life is easy after that. As soon as you think you're the shit, you're done. It's over.
Yeah, it's so wild, and I think this one's reminding me of the interview we just did with Joss. Like Joss is working his butt off right now, spending so much money on slush, and at the end of the day, he didn't have to. No one has to do any of this stuff, but it's like all these guys that choose to do more and stay involved and give back. It's a lot cooler than someone just sitting back and saying they're the best and then just riding a 10-year period of success for the rest of their life. This is way cooler.
Definitely.
Damn. Yeah. So cool. All right. Well, we got 10 minutes left. Ibert, you wanna give him a little head to head? See who he thinks is.
Should I give him the fight? Yeah.
Give him the list.
This will show how old he is. So when we started the show, I was talking with Casaban, and he's like, "Man, what's your reoccurring theme?" And I'm like, "I don't fucking have one." And he's like, "No," because I kind of create like giving flowers off Drink Champs, and even this one, a long format of how we do these conversations. And he's like, on Drink Champs, the one you love, like they pit people versus each other, like a rapper versus a rapper, and then the guy has to pick his favorite. So I'm going to give you a skier versus another skier. Normally there's a consequence. You can't say both. And then you'd have to drink, but that's not happening. So you just got to pick who you think is doper.
And these are old heads versus new heads.
Yep. Are you ready?
Ready.
Mango or Pep?
Pep.
You know who Mango is.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Alex Hall or T
Yeah,
Hall?
man. Who?
Alex Hall or T Hall?
But T Hall for me. I mean, it's what I like. What's actually what do I choose?
It's all personal. It's all personal.
Okay,
Nothing else. Ferdy or Crichton?
Crichton. Come on, man. He's all my friends.
Una or Vanular?
Una?
Unicongas.
Oh yeah, Una. Vanillor. I mean,
Vanular? All right. Quinn Wolferman or Sammy Carlson?
Quinn's pretty cool.
Over Sammy.
Oh.
Ed
Sammy
Gilbert.
also just know him a little less. Let's see.
Okay. So Quinn Wolferman beats Sammy Carlson. Ed Joy or TJ Schiller? One good answer for you.
Ed Joy, I think is so unique, man.
That was the right one. Ante or Delorum?
Anthony.
Danny B or Mick D?
Mick.
Unicorn or Yoon Olsen?
Unicorn.
Tour Mode or Duncan Adams?
Who? The
Tour Mode. Do you know his real name?
Tormod. I think he's a Norwegian guy
Oh yeah.
or Scandinavia. I'm not sure.
I don't know him enough, so I'll have to go with Duncan.
Olivia or Maud?
Olivia.
Hunter Hess or Phil Belanger?
Hunter? And I'll go with me.
One for being humble. Mikael BK or Mike Hornbeck?
Mikael who?
BK?
He's got a crazy name. It's like Mikkel. I gotta look it up. He's the dude. He's a big Instagram dude. I'll pull up a clip right now so you can see what he's doing.
Where's he from?
He's a Scandi guy as well. Scandinavia's got some really sick guys right now. Mikkel Brusletto Kaupang.
That guy or Mike Hornbeck?
But I'll go with Hanbeck since I know
Look
him
at that.
more. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. Anyways, yeah.
He's
He
crazy.
came out swinging this spring with that fucking edit shit on that tube thing.
Just nuts, yeah. Where is this at too? Yeah, I don't know. Europe, like a lot of our new heads, Phil. A lot of them are coming out of Europe. Like there's a lot of influence there right now.
Yeah, but with the bunch, with all like Skiffy, Skiffy, what's it called again?
Real ski-fi.
Yeah,
All the
those guys.
Capiche. We're pretty much interviewing the whole Capiche team. Yeah.
Capiche sells shit at Destructure, don't they?
Yeah,
Sells fast too, right?
really fast. Now I'm stoked that there's companies like that now. It helped me out so much, man. During the pandemic, when they couldn't do business. Like I needed to fucking sell North Face and like all those brands, but now with Capiche, Vulgus, all those small brands, it's so much better for me. Like it's perfect.
So last thing.
Who's your favorite small brand that you've seen like come up? Like you've seen all the small brands being who you are as Destructure, but like, have you seen one that's doing something awesome lately?
Jim showed me once. There's another one I can't remember the name, but so far Capiche, Vulgus, and Arsenic. But Arsenic is more Quebec. But yeah.
Okay. This is tapping into this is a good insight from you because you're in the hard goods space. Where's the opportunity right now? If someone wants to make a business, where do you think the best opportunity is for hard goods or soft goods? Excuse me, any physical product.
What do you mean? Where?
Skier was the start a brand because we've seen a lot of little kids start brands that aren't pros.
Yeah.
What do you think has the most most value if like some kid was like, oh man, I can't get a sponsor. I want to start my own shit. And
The gloves, goggles, poles, helmets. Like, where do you see the opportunity right now since you're selling all this stuff?
First, you need a product that has no sizing. That's the best advice, man. Don't get a product with size. It's the worst thing.
Ski boots. Not ski boots.
For young kids, let's say like a young kids would be in. Man, the pants was definitely something like it has to be the new pants. What would be the new pants? The jacket?
Oh my God, but there's a million pants companies. You know that.
But that's
exactly. So what would be the new pants? Maybe the jacket.
Okay, that's what you're saying. Yeah, what's the next? Yeah, what's the next big thing like that? Yeah.
Maybe it would be the jacket, like something, because it was the hood, like the long hoodie that fucking we banked so much, man. Destructure and inspired and like. So what would it be like? Hats? Like I know a lot of. Some kids banked a little bit on hats, like the freaking hats with little things on top of it, like. But yes, guy.
Pretty much a brand. I'm going to interrupt Phil because it's about building a brand, right? It's not a product because there will be these products like Jib Skin that I give my hats off to every time that sell fucking 500 units of pants. But how do you scale if you're a pant company? And the idea is if you're an actual kid that has a name, build a brand and then think about what else you can do with it more than the hat. But if the hat is the low entry point that everyone can wear your brand or whatever the cheapest thing is to start making people feel like a part of the brand, that's what all these ski kids have the access to.
The question is, you will never answer that question because they need to create it. Why all those things work is because they're the one that create it and put it on the map. So that's why I can't tell you because I will not create it for them. They need to create it for us and then we'll buy it because they are the shit. So they need to think outside the box. Take something that you think is cool, make it cool, and it'll be cool. And that's it. Like this is how the pants work. This is how the hat works. This is how everything, the long hoodies work because Henrik wear it. So no matter what Henrik will do or one of those kids that are the new heads, the hottest new head, man, think about something outside the box. Fucking create a bunch of it. Give it to your friend that are as cool as you. And booyah, man, produce a shitload, put it in a garage for a year. And when it's go time, and just sell it on your website and you're banking.
Good example of that, Tree Fort. Kevin Perrin, Jeff Curry, suspenders and like that weird fucking traveler's pouch thing. That didn't exist.
It was a niche time and a niche market, right?
Yeah.
So they did it. And then like say the next year Armada made suspenders.
Yep.
So because
but they always be like that. Now fat pants, why are they going to be out next year? Because Armada are making it. Everybody will make the fat pants, so it's out. It's over. It's the last year that we're going to see fat pants. This year, next year, everybody will have it, and the young gun, the young heads will go back to skinny, or they'll go to something else, and this is what it will be like.
We don't fucking know what they do, but whoever's 14 right now and who's going to be ill next year is not going to find cool whatever is cool right now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Skinny's coming back, dude. People are going to be Max Hill style.
And me too. I think that's what it is. Yeah. Skinny and fat jacket. I think it was super like short jacket, but super wide with skinny pants. And it's going to be something like that, man.
The fat pants and small jacket right now is the weirdest shit with the small hat.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on visually when I see a silhouette.
And then the Oakley, like the fucking
some really fast sunglasses.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, Phil, thank you so much for being here, dude. I see what Iberg's been saying. He's been hyping you up, and I get it now. Like, just do so much more. Like, that's the lesson from the whole show. It's like you could always do more.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure to do things like that. It makes me. It's fun to talk about it. I don't do it enough, but when I had the chance to do it like that, I really appreciate doing it. Thanks.
Thank you for your time. Thanks for 3 hours on the business day.
It's my pleasure. Anytime.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll let you go. Iberg and I will do an outro, and there you go. So take care.
Perfect. Thanks, you boys. Thanks a lot.
Peace.
Bye. Let's see. Perfect. What a guy, dude. What a guy. He could have honestly been the finale for this whole show because he ties it all together. He ties the concept together.
He's the best human, man. Like, it's everything I've ever done. Like, even like from when I say I want to make my first movie and not speaking good English, he's like, I'm in. You know, like that's the first person that partners with every dream that I ever create. He just says, how do we do it? And then we do it together. So to me, like, he's the illest human being I know in the whole entire world. And I know a lot of people.
So sick. Yeah, he's great. So great. That guy is awesome, dude. I'm gonna go deep on Playhouse. Like I'm gonna cue that up tonight on the Starlink.
It sucks because all the Playhouse movies I uploaded on the internet was a time period when New Schoolers created a new video player, and so now they lost all the videos, so they're not online anymore.
Jesus, we're gonna have to search.
Long, I try.
All right. Well, so that was okay. Let's do it. We got to recap a couple things. First of all, that was the first show transmitted over Starlink. And how many doobies did you smoke?
10 and 3 hours, so about 3.33 dph.
Pretty good right there. Alrighty. Thank you, folks.
It was a pleasure, man. Great one as always, as we're way past the halfway point. Got a new head next, then we'll do another old head. We got 3 old heads left of the whole fucking season. And it got crazy.
Craziness. All right, dude. Thank you for putting me on. Phil's the shit.
And then have a wonderful day.
See you folks next week. Adios.
Peace.